Okay, we're live. Good. Okay then. So here we are again, Dungeon World Hangout. Hopefully this is all loading okay on Google Plus as well. Right. So we just did a little bit of chatting before we went live, just to sort of set the scene for us, and we came up with a couple of thoughts about what has happened since the last game. So the last game, obviously we also had Zane with us, who's not here now. I guess he's out and about or off doing more work for the mercenary company, the Never Been Kings. Just leaving the two of you, Astrophel and Parites, to do what you were doing. Let's just recap what we were just talking about just now, Bastien, about Parites going to the Royal College, which was sort of his reward for the work he did last time. So he went to the Royal College, which is the sort of time where you used to kind of rest, recuperate, and level up as well, effectively. Yeah, tell us what he found.
Well, I found out that I met that wizard over there, and this guy was very into, mineralogical collections and rock samples, and so he found priorities very interesting at the first time and at first sight. And then we talked a bit, and he took a quartz in his hand and just rub it against my crystalline skin, and it made some spark. And he said, look, you can. Your body is made of a mineral that makes it very easy to make some spark, and since you can, trickle down with force, maybe you could trickle down with fire. And so I tried, and yeah, fire was then accessible. I had to practice a bit, and there were probably a few accidents, but eventually I managed to adapt my techniques, use them with fire in the same time as force, and so. But probably there was some. Well, I think that first time I just tried to, just trickle a bit with fire and made some torch-like flame, and but in a library, it's.
Let's see how it went.
Let's go play outside.
Hang on. Bastien, let's see how it went. Let's make you roll for it. What do you normally use for your channeling move? Is it Whiz? Or?
Yeah, it's Constitution.
Con. Okay, go ahead and make a con roll for us. So let's see.
So let's go 2d6. Go.
Okay. So it was only the minorest of fires in the end. Not enough to burn down half the library, not enough to disrupt your own reputation there, yeah, not enough to kind of put you on the wrong side of the Royal College. So that's good news. But nonetheless, there was a couple of little accidents, but you're able to kind of keep them under control for a little while. Bastien, go ahead and hold 1. Just make a note of it, make a scribble down somewhere if you like. Yeah. Hold 1. You can spend that 1 whenever you like, and give yourself +1 forward when you. Actually, I guess the next time you trickle or channel or make a roll involving using your fire abilities,
okay,
spend that point of hold and go for it, basically. Because you managed to actually, it didn't take you as much difficulty as you thought to actually control this essence. Although there were a couple of minor accidents, you're able to keep it under control. So it all did quite well for you. So while you've been off, we're not going to specify specifically how much time has passed since the last adventure. We'll just say Misk. It's probably more than days. It's almost certainly less than months, but it's been some downtime, basically. So Astrophel, while Parites has been off at the Royal College, which I guess is sort of again, less than weeks round trip to get to and from. What have you been up to?
I've been learning some new tricks with my lute. Because last time I felt a bit weak when all these guys were running around attacking us. So I've learned some new tricks I can perform with my instrument, and now I can turn people against each other if I play the right notes.
So when did your new move manage to save your skin?
I was in a card game, as one is wont to do, and somehow my opponents felt that I was cheating or something, which I cannot explain. I would never do such a thing. And when they started advancing on me, I whipped out my lute and played this new tune, and suddenly there was a bar brawl where everybody was fighting each other, but not me, so I just...
All right, let's see the extent of that one then. So go ahead and roll your new move. It's charisma for you, I think? I am entirely guessing these, I should probably admit. I'm assuming charisma, because you are a bard.
Okay. Yeah, it's charisma. The other one was... Okay, that's 9 plus charisma. 11.
Awesome. So yeah, absolutely. So specifically, the rule goes on a 10 plus. The target attacks their nearest ally in range. So yeah, I guess who was your target here? Who was the guy who was attacking you?
That was the guy sitting opposite to me at the card table.
And he was pissed at you because you've been cheating at cards.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yes.
Were you actually cheating? No one else needs to know this in terms of characters, but were you cheating?
Of course I was.
Of course you was. Because he was supposedly cheating. There we go. Made a note. Okay, we'll come back to that guy in a bit. Oh, okay then. So you've been not cheating, quote unquote, while Parites has been out learning, and let's see. I guess we'll kind of pick things up sometime later. The newly instated Countess, I think we said, or Duchess, Isabella, who's basically the last woman standing after last week's escapades. She's finally got the town hall set up, finally got it up and running again, and there's sort of the town is slowly returning to normalcy. And in some respects, that's not a good thing for you guys, because normalcy is boring. Normalcy doesn't make you a lot of money, doesn't bring a lot of interest in. And by for her, it's not good news to keep you around, because one of you's just running around not cheating at cards, I swear, honest, and the other one's just learned how to manipulate fire. So you can imagine that she's not super keen to keep you about. And as part of your remit, as part of your mercenary company, the Never Been Kings, she's keen for you to kind of continue to fulfill your remit and get you work, and I suppose you'd be looking for work in general anyway. So she gives you an opportunity to head down to a nearby town. It's along the same sort of trade routes as our other sort of landmarks, the Royal College, this town, places like the Quartz Monolith, and places that you've been before in this sort of general region we've built up over the last few weeks. Don't have a name for it yet. I'll come up with one in a minute. But suffice to say, yes, she's got a new job for you, and she sort of puts it to you as something that'd be very straightforward, very very by the book, guys. Something that's just up your alley. It's a simple story: people going missing in the town, and cattle going missing, and that sort of thing. Could be simple kidnappings, could be ranchings, could be something like that. It's not a big. In fact, it's more of a village than a town. This sort of next stop along the way. And Astrafel, someone or something about this village. You have a personal connection to this village of some kind. This I guess we're building up as sort of a farming village. What is it? What do you know about this town? This village?
I've spent a winter there, being the town entertainment, helping them through the winter, keeping their spirits up, and earning a little bit of hot food and a bed for this. It was a very bad winter, so I was really glad that they took me in, and I'm very fond of that little hamlet.
Yeah, hamlet, that's the right term. Yeah, sort of your tavern, or kind of a collection of houses that share the role of tavern, town hall, workplace, and they more or less kind of swap around as needed, or as the seasons change, I guess. But it's on a fairly nice route, so you've got merchants passing through well enough, and it's no one wishes bad of it, I suppose. Cool. So there you go. So you head off to this little hamlet. Again, fast forward a little bit. So leaving the last place behind, off on the road, off on this little hamlet. Get there. What would you call the leader of a hamlet? Not like a mayor or a magistrate, but obviously it's just really a town leader, really. The most senior member of the town.
Probably it's just the elder.
Yeah, just the elder, really.
The Hamburgermeister.
Burgermeister, yeah. Would Burgermeister be about right?
The Hamburgermeister for the hamlet.
Ah, yeah, makes sense.
No, elder sounds good. The wise man.
Yeah, it's not a young hamlet. It's someone's been here for many years. Tending to the farmland. It's all mostly sort of rolling hills and farmland around here as a rule. So there's a lot of farmland to tend. So someone's been here over the generations, and the elder is sort of the closest in terms of bloodline. So he knows the most about the place. There's other farmhands and whatnot have sort of come and gone over the years, but he's sort of the oldest link to times past and whatnot. He's the one who sort of meets you at the front door, the gates, and I guess you're already there. Maybe you've got some seals of approval or something like that, so he knows who you are and what you're doing there. And he fills you in on the scoop. Sure enough, townsfolk and cattle going missing. Strange symbols, all pointing to one thing. I mean, you guys are seasoned adventurers. You know a vampire attack when you see it. How do you know that? Astrophel, let's start with you.
Well, people have vanished from locked rooms, and as you all know, vampires can turn into mist and come in through cracks in the window. So that's a very good indication that vampires are afoot.
I like it. So there were people there. These are old houses. There might be sort of thatch roofs and whatnot that's been repaired over the decades, but the walls are solid granite. Mined from the local area. They've been standing in one way, shape, or form for hundreds of years, and yet somehow something either broke through the roof and repaired it after them, or managed to get through a solid wall of granite. Interesting. Vampires. Parites, anything else that you want to sort of recognise in terms of the era? Do you know what vampires are? Is that something that's known to your people?
I'm not sure. Maybe Parites heard about vampire stories and legends when he was in that village first time, when the village he helped the farmers harvest their crop and sell them into the town where he met those first mercenaries he went off with. So those guys, they were some peasants and farmers, and in those hillands, they have these legions of people drinking blood and being able to change, to shapeshift into bats or into other things, and strange nightly beasts, and being able to break into houses to drink blood, and but I've never seen anything remotely looking like a vampire, or I didn't even know what a wolf looked
Absolutely,
like. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said
probably
that.
I've heard stories.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe your first family, as it were, might be the ones. I'm glad we're on the same wavelength there. Good. Yeah. So vampire. Certainly to Astrophel's eyes, it's like, right, okay, guys, looks like vampires. Feel free to use your bardic lore if you like, if that's relevant, Astrophel.
Grand histories of the known world. Yeah, maybe you know something about some local legends about vampires. Although this isn't really a grand place in the scheme of things here.
True. Yeah. Oh, well, you're cool. I mean, I would say it's, I'd say vampires are enough kind of a folk tale. As Pariti said, even the humblest of hamlets has heard of vampires and tell the old folk tales. So I can't believe they wouldn't have appeared in a fair few history books over the years, whether it's folklore or not. So I think it's still valid. If you want, feel free to ask your question.
Okay. Is there a local legend about a famous vampire? Or infamous, maybe?
As it happens, there is. There were old tales eons ago, I suppose now, hundreds of years ago now. Eons is too much. Hundreds of years ago, there was an old order of vampire hunters, and this was sort of their stomping grounds. Part of their stomping grounds was around here. They were known as of the Order of the Aralim, and their tombs, where their greatest heroes were once buried, or one site where their greatest heroes are buried. There were vampire hunters, monster hunters, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of their tombs dotted about, and one of their tombs, as it happens, is nearby, like a kind of a barrow mound type thing. So that would be your kind of strongest lead, I suppose. I'm going to ask you two questions. I can ask you what tale, song, or legend you heard that info in. So first of all, that.
Mm-hmm. That is, what was the name of this order?
The Aralim. A-R-E-L-I-M.
Well, there's a song about the leader of the Aralim, which is a very grim tale, because he lost almost all his family in a vampire attack.
Oh, no, not this one again.
It's one of my favorites. It's the only thing I can really play. No, and that's
heaven.
And that caused him to, well, not really snap, but he has gotten really obsessed with vampires and found other people who also suffered from vampire attacks, and then founded the Order of Aralim.
He founded them as a result of that. He sort of snapped. So although it's sort of, the history books kind of call it this kind of glorious order, there's also a very dark side to it, where they were a bit overzealous because their leader was basically unhinged. He was doing it for vengeance rather than...
Yeah, he was not very keen on vampires.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So there's this leader one. Well, for the sake of... Okay, that's cool. No, that's good. Okay. So, vampires. The Aralim. There is, wouldn't you know it, the elder tells you one of the tombs is nearby. One of their old barrow mounds. It's less than a day's travel, in fact. So you're making plans to set out over the course of a couple of days. And over the course of a couple of days, you can make your plans more or less as normal, such as you could find them, what supplies you can gather from passing merchants and whatnot, with what supplies you have. But while you're doing that, two things are going to happen. So we'll start with yourself, Astrafel. We'll hear your plans, and then we'll hear the first thing. And then Parites will hear your plans, and then we'll hear the second thing. All right?
All right.
Okay.
Cool. So Astrafel, you know there's vampires on the loose. You know there's the Aralim as your sort of primary lead. How are you going to prepare?
Well, I'm trying to get either a new weapon, a new rapier which is made from silver, or get my current one, like coated in silver. And
right.
Maybe even blessed by the town's cleric.
I think silver is a bit of a tall order, given the isolated location and the sort of the time frame you've got here. But a blessing would certainly be valid. I think the town elder, although not a cleric himself, would probably know enough of a few of the ancient kind of charms charms and chants, perhaps of the Aralim themselves, enough to bless your blade with them. So go ahead and roll plus charisma. You're sort of rolling on behalf of him, or perhaps on behalf of how well you've helped him out.
Okay, that's 13.
13, very nice. Okay, he kind of helps. He says, "Yes, I think I can do this, but I'll need the help of a wise, learned traveller such as yourself to help recall all of the ancient charms and ancient words and the things we'll need and stuff like that." You manage to find kind of all the supplies you might need. You get a little bit of chalk and whatnot from a passing trader, and you manage to convince him of kind of the nobleness of your cause. So he says, "Oh yes, take what you need, take what you need." So you manage to gather all the materials you need without having to spend a dime of your own, and get it all together. And he makes an ancient sort of circle on the floor, and basically he starts to do kind of like a ritual. It's kind of an ancient ritual that he's sort of doing in behalf of his great grandfather or something like that, who was once an Aralim, and his grandfather told him, who told his grandfather, and so on and so forth. So he sort of knows his plan as best he can, and uses his memory and whatever you can tell him and from the songs to jog his memory, to bless your blade, your rapier, with kind of an anti-vampiric charm. So your sword is charmed. Your sword is suitably charmed, and will probably have some kind of extra cool fictional effect against vampires, as and when you encounter them. Cool. So that's what happens on the sort of the first day, if you like. And on the first night, one of the farmhands, one of the surviving farmhands, kind of regarding the perimeter, he finds a few of the other farmhands and cattle that have gone missing. He finds their corpses back kind of on the perimeter of the hamlet itself. They don't look good. I mean, you were expecting them to be drained of blood, fair enough, but you didn't expect them to look like they had gone kind of 5 rounds against a brick wall and lost. They are shattered. They have been kind of pulled apart. They would be bloody messes, except there's barely a drop left in them. So these are not the most subtle of creatures that you are dealing with.
Yeah.
Anyway, never mind. Day 2, Parites. Armed with that knowledge, what do you want to do?
Well, I will check with a. I will check that with Astrophel, or other guy in town, if fire is useful against vampire, because in the tales I've heard, fire was useful against vampire, and so if that's the case, I'm fully prepared. But on the other side, Pyrites is more interested in the granite rock making up this hamlet, because it looks really tasty, and it's been a long time I haven't had such excellent meal, and so I will try to find some some thrown away rocks and taste it and try to see if it's good, and if it's good I will replace some of my rations with tasty granite. That's it.
Okay.
But first of all I will check if
okay. So
useful against vampire. So I just ask Astrophel.
Sorry, yeah, go for it.
Or maybe I just can, it's just I can do a low move.
No, it's okay. Alex, can you hear us? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh,
that
sorry.
was a bit of
I think it was just that we talked over each other a bit there. Alex, Parites was just asking you about what you know about whether fire does anything to vampires.
If you use enough of it, sure.
I can use plenty.
I mean, fire is useful against almost anything.
Well, it's not very useful against, crystalline. We are more or less immune to fire.
That's why you befriend them. And teach them how to make fire.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, good. As far as bits of granite are concerned, you can certainly find some around. There's not much. In fact, really, in terms of your searching, there's only plus your wisdom. Whatever your wisdom score is, just the modifier itself, there's that many kind of bits of stone, granite, and rations knocking
So
about.
should be
You can add a D4's worth of rations if you want, but it will mean partially demolishing a house.
Oh, that much? Oh no! My plan was to ask the elder where the granite come from, and then I would go to the outcrop and slice granite from the outcrop.
Oh,
No,
see.
I didn't want to. I just
You just want to start eating. Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's
from a stone from the village, and if it's good, which normally it is, I ask the elder where the main outcrop is, and I go to the main outcrop to replenish my rations.
Okay, fair enough. Well, the quarry itself is it's a very old quarry. It's served quite a lot of the similar sort of hamlets in the area. It's unfortunately it is a few days travel from here, so it isn't somewhere you can go in a day and back. But it does exist. I mean, there's an old there's not much of it left now, frankly. Most of these houses were made a long, long time ago. As we said, these ones in this hamlet have been standing for generations, more or less unchanged. So a lot of the granite was already kind of quarried out a while ago. As you go further out, the elder tells you, the further out you go out into kind of the wilds, out beyond the sort of farmland and the tilled land, you'll tend to find a lot of the granite around. It's harsh rocky landscape. It's something that where they haven't kind of tilled the landscape and where there aren't so many kind of rolling fields, there's quite a lot of kind of rocky terrain. So there's probably quite a lot of good eating from your perspective along the way. You probably can make do. But there isn't. I mean, the quarry is a few days away, and probably isn't practical for you to actually head out to right now, unfortunately.
Okay. And is there a smith in this hamlet or not?
There'd be someone, wouldn't there? I mean, I wouldn't say a smith, but I guess they'd probably have a hammer and an anvil for horseshoes. Forgive me, I don't really know blacksmithing, but I'd assume that for a hamlet that's relatively isolated like this, you'd have enough supplies to keep the horses shoed, and maybe fix the.
It depends. In the 16th century, most hamlet had a small forge of some sort, just to to make nails and that kind of thing. So, but. Well, I don't know if I think
there'd be something like that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think there'd be something like that. I mean, they've got passing merchants. They are literally on the road. So anything which they don't need to forge themselves, like swords, pitchforks, anything more technical, I suppose you'd say, merchants would be able to provide. But since there's enough supplies in the area for them to sort of scavenge and put together, they'd have enough kind of raw materials on hand making that.
My idea was that maybe if we are on a kind of granitic terrain, there would be some kind of alteration of the granite and some kind of iron outcrops, which is the
Okay, for eating.
Well, I mean, that's it. Pyrites is a curious kind, and is a bit of he likes to eat good things, and he's been on a diet for so long now.
Long story short, Bastien, it's good eating out there. I mean, the hamlet, civilized land, not a lot going on there unless you want to start chomping on a building, which I know you don't. At least
I don't.
But if you go beyond the buildings, go beyond the farmlands, go out past the tilled lands where goblins and worse roam, where no one else wants to tread. Yeah, there's iron out there, there's quarries out there, there's all sorts of good stuff out there. But it's probably going to be a few days walk away. You might stumble onto something lucky, you might get lucky, but broadly speaking, you have a bit of exploring to get there. There's nothing on the doorstep.
Let's look into this vampire business, and then we'll look for iron sulfides or anything afterwards.
Absolutely. Cool. So that was the second day. You spend the second day doing a bit of research, finding what's good eating around here. On the second night, after so carefully deciding not to eat the food, second problem, there's an earthquake. Parites, the earthquake feels familiar to you. This doesn't feel like your run-of-the-mill natural quake. It feels like it's being channeled. It feels like it's someone utilizing force in the same way that you do.
Okay. Can I determine where the wave is coming from? Where's the, you know?
Let's find out. Roll plus wisdom.
Yeah. Okay, wisdom. I've got a +2, and that's okay. How much is it? Ooh,
7.
That's 5 + 2 is 7.
Absolutely. So you get a vague sense of it coming from the direction of the of what the elder told you the Arelin tombs come from. Okay. The same direction as those tombs. This kind of wave of force. It comes from underground, and let's say northwest of the town, which happens to be the same direction as the tombs. You know, you're almost perceiving this in 3 dimensions. It's not just coming from the northwest. It's coming from the northwest and underground. It's going down and going up, and bursting up, as opposed to being a shockwave cast on ground level. This is what you perceive.
Yeah. Well, what's the magnitude of the earthquake?
Big. It basically tears half the town apart. The hamlet, these ancient granite buildings which have stood for ages, half of them are gone. Let's say there was half a dozen there. Less than 3 of them still stand. The blacksmiths goes. The elder's house goes. The one they were using as a tavern, that one goes as well. And there's partial damage. You know, anything not nailed down basically is totaled, is damaged overnight. There's a couple of heavy injuries, but most people are able to get out in one piece, including the elder. But it's going to be tight living for a while because half it's done. The most notable thing is the elder's home, which still has a lot of the kind of ritualistic, symbolic stuff used, which, you know, all the kind of raw materials and reagents used for blessing Astrofel's weapon. A lot of that was still in place at the elder's home. He'd kept it there for safekeeping. And the town hall, I guess you'd call it, the elder's home, was the worst hit. It's been impaled. There's a great big outcropping of rock, of granite. Why not? With a few bits of iron sulfide sticking out of it, has just impaled the house as part of this not so natural earthquake.
Okay.
And that's what happens on the second night.
I tell Astrofel where the earthquake is coming from, and I said we'd better investigate that way and quick, because, you know, if this vampire-like creature is in some way or the other related to crystalline, or has crystalline, you know, with anything, we'd better investigate it quick before it, you know, it gets really nasty for the townsfolk.
Even nastier than, like, them losing half their houses? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it can be really, really nasty. Trust me.
Okay, then let's head there as quick as possible.
Okay.
All right.
So, do you want to travel with a, you know, what do you call creatures with a strange sound, but running quite quickly, and you ride on them like horses? Is that it? Because you'll be quicker on that kind of thing.
Yeah, but will you be quicker on the horse? Probably not.
No. The horse, it just can't bear me. I mean, it couldn't carry me, and you know, they are not very. They are not at ease with people like me with crystalline. But I can run, and I can run a long time and quite quickly.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say, I mean, you might have to keep yourself topped up a bit with an extra ration to do so. But like I say, the tombs are less than a day's travel away. Normally it'd be 0 rations to get there. But I'd say that, you know, if you're going in a you know, flat out run to get there ASAP, then, you know, you eat a ration to give yourself a bit more energy, a bit more power parites, and yeah, you can probably keep pace with a horse for the best part of half a day. And yeah, the elders certainly would have a horse. Probably wouldn't be the, you're not talking about a war horse here by any stretch. It's an old farming pony, but nonetheless, it's serviceable, it's strong, and it's enough to carry you Astrophel easily.
Okay, yeah, then
Cool.
the faster we get there, the better.
Absolutely. So there you go. The two of you set off in post haste. Do you want to take any of the elders with you? Not the elders, the villagers with you. There's, like I say, there weren't really any serious injuries there. A couple of the kind of the younger farmhands, the younger, braver, some would say foolish farmhands, are there with pitchforks, wanting to kind of join you. And they've got kind of palfreys and donkeys to keep pace.
Is there anything like a militia in this hamlet? No.
I mean, there's like 12 people living here, so no.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
But there are a few people who want to be part of a militia, right? There's like 6 of those 12 are like, yeah, let's form a militia of 6 people. And they're kind of willing to join you if you want to, but up to you.
Okay, we will go as a quick response team and as scouts, and the militia will come by foot at their own rhythm, and we will expect them tomorrow. But we will first investigate by ourselves and.
Okay.
Okay, and if it looks too dangerous, then we will go, meeting the militia and tell them no, it's too dangerous. But let's first investigate, the both of us.
Okay.
If you're okay with that, Astrophel.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe it's better for them to guard the rest of the town, because if we're not there, then there's only old people there, and they could probably use the help more than we.
Okay, either way, I'm fine with it.
Is the place we're going to, is it visible from? Is it a flat?
It's not visible from. You wouldn't be able to. Actually, well, if it's the best part of a day's away, I guess it would just be on the horizon. Yeah, this is relatively flat farmland we're talking about. So I guess if you're looking out kind of northwest, out beyond this little scattering of half-demolished stone buildings, yeah, beyond the farmland, you can see the kind of the hills rolling, and just on the edge of the horizon, you see it only looks like a black dot from here, but that's what the elder points out to you. It's like, that's the dot, that's the building, the old tombs of the Aralim, that's the old mausoleum there. And Parites, that's the direction that these shockwaves, this earthquake, came from. I guess it's actually looking in the light of day, you actually see some evidence of that. Like there's great big furrows in the farmlands coming from that direction. More little up juttings of granite have been left in the ground coming from that direction.
My idea was to get some easily obtainable chemicals that we could use, because Parites can make fire.
Chemicals?
So we can, like salt. And I don't know what or maybe, yeah, even just salt would work, because if everything's okay, then Parites makes the normal flame, and if there's like a problem and we need help, we just burn a handful of salt, which would, I think salt was orange.
Okay.
So we can use this as a communications device. If it's visible, we can just make a big fire so the town can see, oh, everything's okay, or oh, they need help, we better get moving.
Ingenious. So that's the elder's like, ingenious. So he gives you like the rest of one of the reagents you were using to kind of bless your blade, which when burnt goes up with like a bright blue flame or something like that. Some
excellent.
kind of powder. They call it like powdered devil's bone or something like that. It could just be salt for all you know, but it's some kind of fantastical reagents that are used to bless your blade. It's kind of like a sort of a fine sand-like substance, and that'll turn a flame blue, like a bright, brilliant blue. So you can use that as kind of an indicator as needed. So just to clarify, if it's all good, you're going to burn a red flame. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if we need help, we will burn the blue flame.
Right. Okay, cool. So, Any other final bits? Because already you're like, the day's already waning. Otherwise, or do you head straight out?
Yeah, let's kick some vampire butt.
Yeah,
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. So yeah, there you go. You're out on your you've got this saddled up old palfrey, carrying all your stuff, your spare like demon salts and the rest of it, and Parites, you're kind of running along, keeping pace, the ground thundering underneath you. You're probably leaving great big like footprints as you go in your stride. You're kind of striding at pace.
And when Parites is running, it's just like a big ape running, and it's very yeah, it's
pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's pretty
cool.
Cool. It's very dramatic.
Impressive. That's it.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. So yes, it's very impressive. The two of you heroically bounding down to this mausoleum. It gets larger and larger in the distance. You can see it. You can see dust or smoke coming out the top of it as you get closer. And as you get closer still, you see this puff of like red light or smoke of some kind of coming out of the top of it. And as you get closer still, you see the mausoleum. There's this sort of, it was an old, made out the same granite as everything else around here, but it's much more of a temple, much more ornate, albeit quite eroded over the years. And it's been kind of split in half. Like the columns are kind of at odd angles. The roof has fallen in, and that's where this kind of these gusts, periodic gusts of kind of dust are coming out of. Nothing like big and billowing. It's just like the odd poof. Almost as if something's being dropped far below and kind of letting off the odd plume. So yeah, you're coming up to the mausoleum there, and as you get up closer to it, you're at the bottom of the hill, and at the top, as you reach the sort of bottom of the hill, kind of ready to kind of approach it. Astrophel, you might be getting off your horse at this stage, or if you're not, you're kind of about to, ready to approach it and enter. You feel this titanic kind of shaking underground, like just a momentary tremor, and then another, and then one of the columns just sort of spontaneously comes down and starts rolling down the hill towards you, and a large shadowy shape, at least the size of Parites, if not larger, works its way out of the out of this entrance, this broken up entrance. Its eyes are flaming red. Its eye, Parites, you've just got one big eye in the center of your forehead.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And what color is it?
It's a big red eye.
It's red. Yeah. This one's a slightly different shade. It's a darker crimson red, and where your iron is kind of either a rusted light natural brown or kind of a polished shade, this guy is shades of red, more shades of red basically, and it's not because of kind of copper or rust or oxide or anything like that. It's blood. This guy is practically drenched in the stuff, and he's just pushed this column aside, and he's coming out to hear what this horse and crystalline folk are coming out and see what all the trouble's about. What do you do?
How tall is it?
At a glance, about the same size as you. You could certainly discern realities about him. He's at the top of the hill, you're at the bottom, but you've literally just got here, so you haven't lit the fire as yet. He's seen you, he's coming down, he looks pissed. You don't need to discern realities to see that.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't. I turned to Astrophel and I said, "It doesn't look like he's in a mood to talk. Do you think?"
Yeah, he looks not very friendly. Have you ever seen something like this before?
Well, not sure. Yeah, kind of. But well, it's strange anyway. So we'd better have a look. So I will channel a circular wall of invisible force around this guy, so that he will be, imprisoned in a jail of force, so that we will have plenty of time to look at him, and he will have plenty of time to cool down too. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, fair enough. He managed to. He's while you're talking and preparing for your wall of force, he's kind of pulled himself free of the entrance proper. So you've now seen him kind of removed from the building itself, kind of standing facing you. He looks very similar to you in most respects, Parites. I suppose the major difference, which might just simply be a general difference of body type, is that he has much more kind of pointed, extended shoulder pylons.
So he's probably a crystalline warrior.
Yeah. The other big difference is that on one of these crystalline shoulder pads, for want of a better term, there's a bone white body just spitted on one of them, just flapping about there. And he's come down, he's seen you, and he's starting to head right towards you. He's basically barreling down the hill towards you too.
Okay, so I will.
Wall of force.
Yeah, wall of force. I will. So it's 7 again.
Okay, so does it feed back on you or something else?
I would say that the magic has an unintended effect on the environment.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
The wall kind of goes at a funny angle. I mean, is it an invisible wall?
Yeah, it's invisible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So you don't see the wall itself. You don't see like a shimmer of light. You just see the effect. So instead of, because this guy's barreling down this hill, which isn't it isn't a steep slope, but it's enough of a slope nonetheless. He's barreling down, and you're trying to get an angle on him and actually try and trap him in this thing. The wall is kind of at an odd angle. The wall of force is actually at an angle. It almost cuts a segment out of the hill. So you just see this kind of plume of earth kind of fountain up in front of the creature, the crystalline creature, and then like kind of land on nothing. And you've kind of trapped him. He kind of falls down onto his face and kind of is trapped in a sort of cone, but the wall is at an angle.
Okay.
So it's all around. It's surrounding him all around, but it's not surrounding him on top or on bottom. And because it's at a slope, he can actually climb up this wall, this invisible wall of force. He's actually kind of, by sheer will, just trying to pull himself up the wall, so it won't contain him for long. Astrophel, what are you doing at this point?
I try to communicate with him to maybe stop him from climbing out of the cone, so that he focuses on me.
Okay.
And
So he sounds pretty pissed. Do you know the crystalline language? How much of it has Parites taught you so far?
Mostly swear words and a little like the basics of the language. I asked for the swear words first because
cool.
You
Okay.
never know what to use when they're useful.
So, and you're trying to make him calm him down, right?
Like hello, friend, and like playing maybe a little bit dumb.
Okay, cool. Well, you don't really know a whole lot of the language to be doing this, but go ahead and roll Defy Danger with Charisma, and just take -1 on that, I think. Because you're basically kind of saying, hello, friend.
Okay, so instead
Your
of
mother smells of elderberries.
so instead of +2, I just get +1, or do I get -1 on the?
No, +1 instead of +2. That's fine.
9.
9, cool. So you're trying to calm him down. You don't really do so. He kind of stops momentarily, kind of confused at hearing, a small fleshy thing speaking in the rock language. He's not really used to that, so it kind of slows him down and stops him. But then when he realizes that you're basically saying, hello, friend, not safe for work warning, go fuck yourself, which is basically all the just swear words and stuff. He gets more angry at you, and so he momentarily stops, slows down. It might give Parites a moment to do something, which we'll come to in a second.
Well,
but then scrabbling up all the faster. So Parites, as he's kind of slowly comprehending what this little fleshy thing is actually trying to say to him, what do?
Oh no! While the warrior is claiming the wall, I try to gather my knowledge of old crystalline legend from my kingdom of times when they had to fight these monsters and try to remember what is their weak points, what they are sensitive to, and that's it. And so I will try to gather my lore.
Sure thing. Yes, go ahead and spout lore.
This is plus intelligence, which is a +1. That's 8.
That's an 8. It's good. It's good.
Yeah,
You're into something interesting. It's up to you to make it useful. So, I mean, in terms of remembering something, in terms of creatures like this, bloodlusting crystal folk like yourself, you've never in any of your stories heard of crystalline creatures wanting to drink the blood of the living. I mean, that's just anathema to you because your people have kept separate from the people above for essentially forever. You're one of the first to come up, weren't you? Wasn't this the idea that although the two of you were somewhat aware of each other, actually your crystalline people, well, they didn't even really know. They didn't really have anything to do with the people above for the longest time.
Yeah.
So the idea of your people being mutated in such a way as to have to subsist on their blood, as the folk tales would have you believe, you've never seen anything like that before.
Oh yeah, that's just weird and disgusting.
It is like an abomination to you. Yeah. It is the worst heresy, the worst body horror, the worst whatever you like. I mean, I guess you could call that interesting. But in terms of what else you see, which might be interesting, I suppose, for all of its savagery, for all of its heresy, its heretical nature, it doesn't seem to have grossly changed what it essentially is. It's covered in blood, but it's still made of stone. It's still made as you are. It's a mixture of stones and ores. It seems to have kind of developed this nasty, darker, crimson red eyeball, and all the parts of you that glow. It has a nice dark blood red glow. It also seems to be a lot sharper than you are, but otherwise, essentially, it seems to be the same sort of thing.
Does it look to me like he's been charmed or something?
It doesn't look charred, no. Blood-soaked, yes. Charred, no.
You're charmed.
Oh, charmed.
Enchanted, yeah.
I mean, he's mad. He's hopping mad. He's practically feral in his haste, in his rage to get at the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, you don't know. He's now clambered over the top and basically fallen over the lip of the wall and rolling down. He is scant feet from you. If you do nothing, he's going to start charging towards the small fleshy thing.
No, I'm definitely gonna do something. I just say Astrafel, step aside, and then I rub my hands very, strongly together. And as I rub them, some fire appears in my hand, and then I grew a kind of ball of fire and rock, and then I throw it at the guy, and I use my meteor technique and to
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Go for it. Make the roll.
So it's a +2 up, and so that's 11.
Nice.
So
Looks good
11, I use my technique. So this is the equivalent of the light meteorites. So this is the fire meteorites. It's projectile, so it does 1d6 damage. It's hazard, so it's it's an environmental effect, and it's forceful, so it will probably push the warrior behind the wall again. Or against the wall.
Because the wall is like there's like a lip that he's just tumbled over now. So there isn't. If you imagine, it's like
probably will get project it against the wall again, maybe for extra damage. Who knows?
If this is the hill, your cone is like. I'm just going to draw a little sketch for you guys. One sec. There he is, big nasty guy. Excuse the crudeness. So this is what I've got in mind. There he is, big scary guy coming at you. And your wall is literally at the angle of the hill. So so it's the angle is such that you can't push him back in, and that's what he's just tumbled over. Okay. There's like a little bit of debris that he's kind of walked over as you've kind of gouged the hole. So kind of this invisible wall of debris is kind of still in place there that he's kind of clambered over just now. You could kind of push him back into kind of the edge of the wall. You kind of segment him back into that little kind of V-shaped bit there. But he won't go up the hill at this angle, and it won't really stop him. It won't really contain him. But yeah, it'll push him back into that. Yeah. So yes, cool. Fiery, big old fireball, 11 damage. So you do 1d6 damage, right? Yeah, cool. Yeah. 1d6 damage. So you do your fiery effect, and you forceful. 3. Okay, cool. So you create this sort of swirling vortex of flame and rocks and pebbles, and just kind of throw it at him. And he catches, as it blasts him back and knocks him back into that kind of wall-like barrier. You see him kind of go up in this conflagration of flame. The kind of the dried blood that's all over his body kind of takes off and just kind of burns away, and he starts kind of steaming from it, and this nasty kind of gross corpse on his shoulders is also kind of catches and is now kind of burning away quite rapidly. What's left of it, the few rags that are around its body are now kind of tattered and burning, but he is not significantly harmed. He's still going. He's just there, knocked back, and then he just starts coming back at you guys, tumbling away. Okay. Astrofel, you've had a couple of vital moments while Parites has been making his little Hadoken. What do you do?
Since he's basically he's made of crystal, right?
A combination of crystal, rocks, ores, that sort of thing. Basically, kind of random rock from the region with a few kind of fancy-looking, more fancy-looking crystals thrown in.
What I'm thinking of is if I can hit the right note that harmonizes with his frequency of the crystals, I can maybe disorient him or like bringing him to a stop.
Sure.
Or something like that.
Okay. In true Dungeon World style, or Powered by the Apocalypse style of tell them the consequences and ask, worth mentioning that the right frequency to do that would probably be the same frequency that would affect Parites.
That's what I was afraid of. But
you're cool, man.
I think, looking at what the other consequences, that we get smashed by some vampiric rock golem, I think I'll take that risk.
Good stuff. Fortune favors the brave. Like it. So, okay. I think that's still going to be your. What is that? Is that still going to be kind of it goes to 11? That you're kind of trying to confuse him and throw him off course a little?
Yeah, probably. It's unleashing a crazed performance, but yeah.
But sort of to a different. Well, what was the other one you had? Vicious Cacophony.
Yeah, Vicious Cacophony.
Bonus, yeah, it's for bonus damage.
That's
okay.
Just bonus damage.
Yeah. I mean, if you had, I mean, if you had Metal Hurlants, that would be the move here, but you don't. You're kind of winging it. So let's go ahead with roll charisma and see what goes from there. About hitting kind of the right note. And of course, are you using your fancy dragons scale thing to do this?
Probably. This is probably the right time to do this. So it's
all right.
1d6
so
and
D6
1d8.
8 instead of 2d6. Yeah.
Okay, and that's 4 and a 7.
Wow, 4 and a 7. Oh right, yeah, cool, nice. So that's a definite pass
it's a
there.
13.
Yeah, Nice. So yeah, you managed to kind of you stride in front of Parites in such a way that you angle the notes away from him and towards this creature in order to do what exactly? You wanted to stun it, disorient it?
Yeah, stun it, disorient it, maybe make it vibrate so that it's yeah, stunning. Stunning is probably the best thing for now.
You do so. So it's the kind of the crystal parts of it. It's like its jeweled eye-like area, its shoulder blades, and various other kind of crystals within it start kind of vibrating within it, and it kind of almost dislodges a few parts of him, and you see him kind of fall down to his knees. His big old arms just kind of crash to the floor, and he falls down to his knees for as long as kind of the note holds. It's kind of that wow, as the note is reverberating, while it's continuing to kind of reverberate in the air for sort of the next sort of 30 seconds, say, as you're holding the note there. He is stunned. You're well and truly pinning him to the ground, but only for as long as you maintain the note, basically.
Okay. Maybe this is probably a good time to speak frankly with him.
Mm-hmm.
If he can hear me. And I go, listen, Rockface. We just came in to talk, so if you don't want me to shatter you with the next note, tell me, who do you serve?
You hear him kind of struggling to kind of get the words out because his face has got a big concentration of gems which are all kind of vibrating. So he's got kind of a weird auto-tuned twang to his voice as he's saying this, but he can barely speak, and he's just kind of growling at you, and he just says, "I want your blood," in the nastiest possible voice. And he's just kind of moaning and growling and trying to kind of get towards you, Astrophel. And that gross little corpse is kind of all flapping about in this kind of weird oscillating gem.
If I still have enough time, did I hit Parites, or is he still okay? And
Parites is still fine. You're in front of Parites, so while you're doing that and maintaining this note, holding the note on your lute, you can kind of do what you want, but, you know, that sort of limits your options. And if Parites comes in front of you, he's liable to be affected too. So that's where you are right now.
Because I think if we can get rid of that corpse, maybe that can help us. Because there must be a reason why he's running around with a corpse on his shoulder.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's probably not just a fashion statement.
Sure. I can use my power to get rid of the corpse.
If you do not try to hit him, just burn away the corpse.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, while he's moving, I can use the movement and, you know, throw away the corpse.
Oh, that's even better. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to investigate the corpse? I can throw away the corpse just behind it, so we can have a look at it. Maybe there's something useful.
Yeah.
So I will do that. So this is the bender of the elements technique. Mm-hmm. So it's plus con.
Mm-hmm.
And let's have some dice. Ooh, this is okay. I mark experience.
Mark experience.
5, yeah.
And okay, nothing specific there. You're trying to kind of use force to effectively telekinesis the body as safely as possible off of the guy, weren't you?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. You don't do that. You instead, the force, the kind of the wave of force goes the wrong way. At the last minute, he just kind of, this guy he's not really making any progress, but he's kind of bringing his hands forward and slowly trying to kind of push against this wall of sound which is keeping him kind of incapacitated. He's pushing towards you, Astrophel. So his hands are kind of up and running like that. And as you kind of, excuse me, as you prepare this kind of telekinetic ball of force to kind of push the corpse away, his hand moves, his arm moves at the last minute, and instead of it pushing the corpse away, it pushes the corpse further down, and it just kind of explodes. What's left of the corpse just explodes over the creature's shoulder and face. Just tatters everywhere, an arm here, leg there, all over the shop. Yeah, guy's still crawling towards you. He's now covered in what's, the whole right side of him is now just pure red, basically. He's a bloody old man. What's next? He's getting towards you. I guess your note is starting to you're having to hold this note here. You can continue to hold it, I guess, Astrophel, but you can't really be doing anything else while you do it. And it's going to be, I guess you'd have to use intellect, kind of your skill at playing to kind of maintain that note without kind of changing timbre or tone. So go ahead and roll Defy Danger effectively with intelligence for me if you want to keep the note going, or if you want to do something else, now's the time.
I think I will try to instead slide the note into another piece.
Okay.
The one I used to boost other people's damage, and then try to move backwards so that I'm behind Pyrites again.
Cool. So it's like the same note, but you're kind of scaling it up, so it kind of turns into like the Crystalline Folks equivalent of a power ballad to kind of inspire your rocky friend.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Okay. Cool. Go ahead and make the move.
Okay, that's probably that's
your arcane art, yeah?
Yeah, that's charisma. That is, well, that's bad. That's a 5.
And did you use your dragon scale to do that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, just doing it straight up. How did you actually? I should have clarified that before, shouldn't I? Because you were using it before to hold it. So how did you change about changing to? Oh, I suppose you quickly stopped and then switched round. Okay, fair enough. Anyway, what did you say you got there?
A 5.
A 5. Oh, that's not good. Mark experience. Fair enough. So I guess that's the thing that happens. You try and
that's the turn of the tide.
You try and switch picks, and in doing so, you manage to drop the dragon scale pick. It only lands in the glass, in the grass, about your feet, basically. You just like, bow, boom, and then it just drops at your feet, basically, and all the music cuts out at the moment, and the guy's free, and he's rampaging towards you, and in fact, he just leaps directly at you.
Okay,
what do you do?
The moment he leaps at Astrophel, I use my wave discus and throw my arms in circle in front of me to cut him in two with my power.
Okay, fair enough. Go for it.
Yeah. So.
That's a channel.
Yeah, that's channeling. Yeah. Oh, bad. So that's 6 and 2. That's 8.
8. 8's good.
Yeah, 8. I will take 1d4 damage, and he takes the 8.
Cool.
So I will roll a
go for a d4 and go for
a d8. That's it. So I take 2. He takes 7.
All right.
Yeah.
So you cleave off a chunk of his body.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. He takes 7. Okay. Cool. You cleave off. You kind of knock him spiraling around. His arm that was closest just kind of gets severed off and goes spiraling into the dirt. Astrophel, you kind of almost ducked under him, scrabbling around in the dirt, looking for your dragon pick, most likely, and he's kind of leapt over you towards Pyrites. Pyrites, you've cleaved off part of his arm to do it, but you haven't really directly stopped him, and he just tumbles onto you, and the two of you kind of tumble down to the very bottom of the hill, just in kind of a brawl, just brawling with each other at close range. And we're going to come back in a moment because I could do with a quick trip to the loo and various other bits and bobs. So we'll stop for a 5-minute break, if everyone's good with that.
Yeah, okay,
yeah.
Fine.
Sounds good.
Cool. Excellent. All right, then, we'll be back momentarily. Yeah, Alex.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Shall we? Well, we're just waiting on Bastien. Let's just pick things up with yourself. So I'm sure he'll be back in a minute. But he's kind of while he's kind of contained in the combat. I think we've got a bit of opportunity to move on. So you've picked up your pick. You kind of duck down. Oh, there it is. Picked it up. It's literally just at your feet. So you've picked it back up and got it there. Cool ass loot in one hand, pick in the other. Kind of got yourself free. The mausoleum is just up the top of the hill. You've still got kind of the most of the supplies. The horse is kind of bolting and kind of ready to bolt effectively because it's at the bottom of the hill too. So you could kind of try and get round and try and stop the horse. It probably doesn't have most of your supplies in, but it might have some. It might have some of your kind of more important stuff in your saddlebags or something like that. So it might be worth kind of stopping that from bolting. Or there's whatever else you want to do.
I was thinking of trying once again to give my rocky friend a little bit of a damage boost, because I think that's the bigger problem right now. There's big blood-covered angry rock golem. And this time I would probably use the pick again.
Cool. All right, pick in hand. You go ready for a rocking, dragon-themed ballad of some kind.
Yeah, this is called the Dragon Shout.
Cool.
And this is 13.
Nice. All right, there we go.
That's a nicely targeted music.
You play the Skyrim theme, basically. Which dice was higher, the D6 or the D8?
The D8 was higher.
All right. In that case, nothing else happens. So, go for it. Your rockin' ballad, aka the Skyrim theme, reverberates through, and Parites, you feel a surge of power as you're brawling with this one-armed monstrosity, trying to kind of pin it down. Astrofel, what's the actual bonus that you give to Parites?
2d4.
2d4, nice.
2d4, yeah,
2d4.
nice.
Ah, yes, of course, because of your vicious cacophony.
Yes.
Nice. Okay, so there you go. So you really feel kind of powered up. And for some reason you feel like you want to shout. You know, you just want to do some kind of shout along the lines of Fusrodar or something. You know, maybe something that's less copyright infringing.
I look at the warrior eye in eye.
Absolutely.
Eye to eye. And I tell him in the rock language, in a very coarse, world rock language, that now he's got to surrender himself or I will just kill him. And he won't even know where it comes from.
He just continues to just bite at you and roar and, you know, just trying to scratch at you. It doesn't faze him.
I strike him in a circular angle and use my wave discus again, but this time I try to sever his eye from his head.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you kind of cross the neck area there.
Yeah.
All right,
Definitely.
nice.
Can I use the token you gave me?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, okay, so it will be 2d6 plus 3 then.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go for it. Oh no!
Oh,
Yes.
Okay, I mark experience.
absolutely. Oh no, all that learning for naught. Maybe you should have just set fire to the library after all. Maybe that would have been better practice for you.
Maybe.
Oh, all right. Unfortunate. Let's see. You do nothing to this creature. Your emanation of burning, fiery, discusy, powery stuff just kind of goes wide over this thing's a crystalline shoulder, and it just pummels you. It's keeping you kind of pinned down with its like its head and its like stub of an arm, and the stub of its left arm where you severed it, and the right arm is just pummeling on your rocky hide, just push push with as much force as you would expect from one of its kind. And it's pummeling you with enough might to just almost kind of shatter you apart. It's trying to do that. So go ahead and roll D10 for the damage.
D10 for the damage.
Wow!
Oh, Jesus!
Yep. Boom!
That hurts.
Boom.
That hurts.
It crashes down with a giant blood-soaked fist twice on your chest, and then using its kind of arm as a fulcrum, it tries to start prizing your kind of chest apart in between the rock. It's trying to sort of grab in there and just kind of pull you to pieces.
Okay.
And it hurts a lot, and you kind of scream out in some kind of Rocky-like pain. Astrophel, your Rocky companion is in trouble.
I scream, and to Astrophel, it feels like he's in a rock fall.
Okay, I think I will try something new. I will try to heal him with another song, once again with the dragon pick, because this looks like we have no other choice.
Okay.
And, okay, that's once again 6, 7, 9, 11.
Nice. Excellent,
and
excellent.
The D8 was the higher one.
Okay, no worries. All right then. So you go for it. You heal him with D8 damage. I don't think we can actually see your dice. So is it okay if Parites rolls it?
Yeah, sure. Let him roll.
3.
3. There we go. 3 health back. So you feel the healing essence of Astrophel's wicked riff coursing back through you. This thing's still pummeling down at you. In fact, well, he's trying to wrench you apart now. He's not pummeling anymore. He's trying to pull you to pieces. Parites. He's kind of got you pinned down with your back to the ground, and he's on top of you, dripping blood and ichor out of its mouth. I mean, this is gross. You know, your people aren't supposed to even consume liquids, and this thing is just, bathed in it. So, it's really foul and horrifying, and it's right on top of you. What do you do?
Okay. Apart from the mausoleum, are there any rock outcrop around us?
Of what sort of size, or what you're trying to do with them?
Enough to shatter him, against an outcrop.
Oh, I see. Enough to kind of throw him against. Enough to kind of actually break him again.
Yeah. Because we are moving, we are tumbling down.
Tumbling around. Yeah.
I would like to accompany this move and push him with my bender of nature.
Got it.
Send him crashing against a rock.
Awesome.
Maybe
go ahead and
other kind of effective. Well, that goes right.
Well, go ahead and roll plus whiz in order to kind of get him into the right position. Because he's right on top of you, and you're trying to kind of wrench and roll around.
That's +2 also. So that's 7 and 2, 9.
9. Okay. So you spot him. You spot an outcropping as you're kind of rolling and tussling around the ground. You do spot an outcropping, but by the time you spot it, he's got you pinned to the ground again. You've rolled around a few times, but he's kind of got on top of you again, and he's pinned you down. So you're in the position to kind of fling him against the side of the wall, but you got to make it count, because if you don't, he's going to come at you, and he's going to come at you hard.
Okay.
Go for it. Go ahead and make the Bender the Elements move.
Okay, that's 8 total.
Awesome. Okay.
So I can hold one, and I will choose. It has the forceful tag, so I will send him crashing against the wall and give me a bit of,
Give you a bit of breathing room.
Respite.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So, yep, you do that, don't you? So on 7 to 9, hold 1. As long as you do nothing but concentrate on controlling it, you can spend hold 1 for 1 to choose an option. I guess you just do it, and then that's it, isn't it? There's no more concentration. You're just kind of blasting him out the way. Cool. So you do so.
Well, yes, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And when he's against the rock outcrop, I will throw my hands in the air, and then, like if I was grabbing something, and then throw them back at me and shatter meteorites, light meteorites on him. I will try to shatter him with the full power of my element, the force element.
Okay, cool. So, yeah. Well, he's kind of there. He's smashed up against the back of it.
That's 9, and I will choose to... what will I choose? The magic flows out of a different part of my body. That's it.
Okay, that's actually... If you allow the power through, I get to choose one of those complications.
Oh, you okay. Yeah. I allow
so you can either choose to take D4 damage, or I can tell you a complication that arises out of it.
Okay.
So just describe what happens next for me. You've channeled your kind of your what was your conduit again? The conduit of this power of force and
my palms.
Your arms.
Yeah, the palms.
Your arms are kind of brought forward in a kind of crashing shamanistic motion. Bring this. Bring a rain of meteorites down. Or what about the outcropping you've pushed him into? How about kind of breaking that apart and bringing that down on top of him? Something like that, maybe. That would be the most obvious local element to bring down, I'd have thought. Yeah?
Yeah, maybe.
So, let's say that... okay. So that's what you do. I'm just having another look at the moves here. You're just trying to bury him under a load of rock, basically. Kind of just make this kind of force wave to.
It's like basically it's normally like a meteor shower, but invisible one. It's pure force meteor shower hammering down on him.
Basically,
and
trying to drive.
Destroying the outcrop behind him, or
Okay. I think
and I roll d6 damage anyway.
Okay.
And does he still get the forward damage from the arcane art because he hasn't used it yet? Or did this go away?
I'm actually not sure. Let me double check.
That could be nice.
Could be nice. Let me remind myself. Next move roll. It was plus D4 damage forward, wasn't it? Plus 2d4 damage forward, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah. Well, this is the next time he's rolling damage, right?
Yeah.
I would think so.
He doesn't. You haven't rolled damage before this point, have you?
No.
Since the roll. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. Next time you do. Next time you roll it, because before you didn't even get to roll damage. You didn't get to that stage.
That's it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's just
okay. That's 10 damage then.
Awesome. Straight up 10 damage as he's kind of smashed into, like, he's smashed against the wall and comes kind of down crashing on his front, and then you kind of bring kind of this rain of force down upon him, just trying to sort of smash him apart and pull him to pieces across the floor, doing an almighty 10 damage to him, which basically leaves him in shatters, leaves him in shattered tatters. There's like a crater where he was. There's not. I mean, there's a few bloodied rocks about, but there's not much left of him there. Other than a few bloodied rocks. The crystals, any crystalline parts of him have been well and truly shattered apart. To the obvious eye, it would just look like a cannonball landed here, and it's just pieces of rock and shrapnel. And that's it. And it's oddly still after that. There you are.
Is it still alive?
No.
No. Okay.
No. Did you not get the part? The crater formerly known as your
no. Okay.
Right. there's nothing left of him to be alive. Nothing left of him to be alive. Unless it's to some kind of weird Disney death that the GM's pulling on you. But it probably isn't because he's a crater.
Okay. Are there enough crystals left of him in the crater that I could study to, try to know what happened to him?
I'm afraid not. Like I said earlier, the crystals shattered under the sheer force of power.
Okay.
You did 10 damage to this guy in one.
Oh, yeah.
You wanted to summon him into the shower, you got it. And, I mean, there's bits of him left, which would be like blood-stained granite and the toughest parts of him. But the crystal, other than a few tiny, tiny facets, which are, with your big old granite-like hands yourself, you can't even pick them up.
Tiny shards, but nothing very, very interesting. Okay.
Indeed.
Fine.
And yeah, absolutely. So he's there. It's oddly quiet. Clouds gathering above, and the mausoleum's still standing there.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, I turn to Astrophel and look at him with a kind of grim look. Normally, my big red eye is always shiny, and now Astrophel can see that it's kind of like it's a bit like if this interior light there's always is in my one big eye has disappeared. And I turned to him and I said, okay, let's have a look at that mausoleum.
Are you still good after this fight? Could you take on another one of these if one appeared?
Not really.
Then let's move quietly.
Okay. So the mausoleum, as I said earlier, kind of cracked open halfway. What was once kind of a crypt tomb underneath is more cavern than not now. It's it's been kind of almost overtaken by the natural features, more juttings of just raw earth and dirt and rock jutting out of it. You can still just about make out the tombs that lay underneath it, at least at kind of the surface level. But kind of looking down, if you're looking down at the where's my bit of paper? There we go. You'd almost see kind of a cross section of the tomb itself from the mausoleum entrance. So you've got kind of I can't draw it quick enough. But if you imagine you've got kind of half a column on one side, half a column on the other at an odd V-shaped angle, and you're looking between them into the kind of the massive crevasse, which is obviously recently formed here by this creature. You can kind of look down and you can see almost a cross section of what was the kind of the catacombs below you. So you see kind of dislodged grave sites and crypts and tombs and stuff like that. And below that you can see kind of still further down it just leading off into more natural looking caverns and stuff below it. Most obvious sort of symbol. There is a relatively easy way down. Some of the steps have survived to kind of the first sections of the caverns. Looks like there was a door here until recently, but obviously this creature's path has kind of blown it aside, knocked it aside. So actually, what was originally some kind of well-locked thing by the ancient Aralim order has just been kind of blown to pieces. And you come to a kind of I guess it is kind of the main tomb element, but it looks really odd. It's all the coffins are upright, not laid down as they normally would be. You're only at sort of half the cavern, so there's sort of a. Once you've made your way down the steps, it looks a little something like this, basically. You're in kind of half of the room proper. There's the steps that came down. Something like that, sort of. Okay. These are the steps you came down next to my finger.
Mm-hmm.
And you come down into kind of half, a semicircle of what was a circular room. So a really odd formation for a tomb. Those circles are upright coffins, but they're more cage than coffin. They're kind of gilded in what would have been kind of silver and other kind of blessed materials, a lot of which has been kind of stripped away over the years. The two more semicircular shapes are coffins which have been knocked over by the recent upheaval, and those two kind of are burst open, revealing nothing at all really, just an empty coffin, two empty coffins.
But
You
the
can
other
hear
ones,
Say again?
the ones that are still upright are still closed.
Absolutely. And you hear a faint tapping coming from one of them.
We probably, at least I slowly move towards the one that is tapping.
Mm-hmm.
And is it a rhythmical tapping or just random tapping?
Go ahead and roll plus intellect on that for me. You're basically spouting lore. I mean, it doesn't quite sound like random. It doesn't sound completely random. It sounds like it could be a tune or something.
It's an 8. I
An
rolled an
8.
8.
Yeah, it's like a song of some kind, but it's no song that even you has ever heard of.
But can I make out
Not like a rhythm to it, a timbre.
So I could probably answer the tapping with the same rhythm.
Absolutely.
Then I shall do that.
Okay.
Just tap in the same.
Yeah.
Then
You
see
do
if
that.
anything happens.
Kind of stops.
While Astrophel is doing that, I'm investigating the tomb for any sign of a builder. Because if you remember well, when we met Monolith, there was a builder tending his prison. And so since I found a warrior here, I'm looking for a sign of a builder. If there is no builder, that means that the warrior has escaped from his monolith.
It's that's going to be a wisdom roll for you then, Herites. You're not spouting lore so much as you're sort of discerning realities, although there's a more specific question there. What you do know.
So it's 7 total.
7 total. Okay. So what you do know, and you knew this even without rolling, is that this is something of obvious human construction. I mean, the ceilings are too low. The carvings look like human carvings. Your people wouldn't chip away at granite; they'd shape it, and so on and so forth. This is clearly human construction, and these coffins are clearly human-sized. But that being said, there is some example of shaper architecture, not in the tombs, but below, where the at the edge of it, where it's been breached and leads further down. There is more signs that the root has been shaped, partially shaped, crudely shaped, but shaped nonetheless. It's not just been carved away by big hands. There are telltale signs of this. It looks like igneous rock. It's like the rock has been smoothed and bubbled over in a way that you couldn't do naturally, or at least other races couldn't do naturally.
Okay. Is this part easily accessible or not?
Yeah, it winds down through that. Now you're a little bit further. You're probably over head height down. And although there's daylight directly above you, let's say there's a light drizzle still falling down, this leads kind of further down, actually underground. It leads through the bottom of the crevasse and into the caverns proper.
Okay, so I go on looking at it while Astrophel is doing music with the guy.
Absolutely. So, in fact, you see it's a conspicuously the bottom of the crevasse. Now that you're down there, and you can see it more easily, it is a suspiciously, you might say, crystalline folk-sized hole. It's big enough for one of your kind to get through easily without struggling. Anyway, back to the tapping. So you kind of tap out what you perceive to be a verse of this tune. You kind of mirror it for one verse, Astrophel, and when you do, the tapping stops for a moment, and then kind of 1, 2, 3 taps, so kind of cautiously tapping in return.
I think I'll just call out to the person or whatever it is that's tapping it. Hello, anybody in there?
As you say that, and you kind of put your ear, because this is, a stone coffin here, kind of lined with metals and whatnot, mostly corroded and stripped away. So you have to sort of put your ear to it to try and hear any response through this. You just about hear this kind of scraping, this light scraping, like nails against a chalkboard against the other side of the coffin. Just a light.
Is there any writing on the coffin?
There is, however, it is in the old kind of the symbolic language of the Aralim. It wouldn't be unknown to you, but it's not your first language. It would be something you might have seen examples of in the history books, you see.
Okay, so...
Go ahead and spout law about it if you like.
Okay, spout law was intelligence, right?
Absolutely.
Let's see what I know about this. It's 6, 7, 8, and 9.
9. Cool. It's it says something about oh, you know what? You recognise the name of that. What was the name of that great leader? We didn't come up with a name in the end, did we? But that name of that great leader, the one that was sort of told in that song.
Ah, yeah.
He's mentioned. You can't work out. You don't think he's actually the one in here, but he's mentioned. There's like kind of a big name that you don't really recognise. But then there's like a little paragraph of text, something about heroes, hunters, something about the profane, something bloody bloody blah. This guy's name, more stuff about heroes, died with honor.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the dying thing. Is there some kind of mechanism to open this coffin? Like some kind of lock or some kind of hinge or anything, or is this...
There isn't supposed to be. The metal is supposed to kind of interlock into place, but between the ages and being exposed to the elements and all the recent earthquakes, the metal latches have been kind of bent out of shape. You could probably kind of, if you put your back to it, you could probably kind of prise this thing, pop this thing open, and kind of break the last metal seals, which would probably kind of just release the whole stone top from the whole sides of it. You'd probably need to kind of put your back to it a little bit. Varieties could probably do it without too much effort at all, just with trickling or even just using his, big old stone strength.
Yeah, then I call him over and say, Varieties, could you give me a hand here? I think there's someone trapped in this cage.
Yeah, all right. There's something interesting here, don't there? But I'll come and lend you a hand, and then we'll go down there looking into stuff.
What's interesting there? I don't think this guy is going anywhere soon. So let's have a look at your thing first.
Well, it's okay. Well, I think I never told you about this quartz monolith. I went into that was the first time I saw a warrior for my kind. I don't know if I told you that my kind was divided in basically 3 kind of guys. They are the channeler, as I am, and we live in a kingdom, and we've been down there for millennia before we had some trade with dwarves and a war with them. But prior to that, we were 3 kinds of crystalline. They were the channelers, the builders, or you can call them the shapers, and there were the warriors. And well, the warriors have always been savages and feral guys, and so we decided to imprison them in structures that were built and tended to by the shapers. And it looks like through times these prisons have come to an end, and that now the warriors are coming back to life. And down here there are signs of a shaper's work. and I would like to investigate it. But it looks like this won't move much also, and so we can have a look at these guys of yours maybe before he, he starves or he stops breathing or something like this. You're so fragile, you humanoids. Okay, I'm climbing up, coming.
Okay.
So I climb up and go back into the room and help Astrophel to free the guy inside the coffin.
Okay. Like I say, it takes nothing at all for you to pop the kind of the latch. You really just have to just pull it apart, really.
Yeah.
This old corroded bit of metal. In fact, it's a tasty snack for you. It's quite nice. Tastes kind of fresh, kind of tangy. This kind of metal gear. So you pull it, and the kind of the bindings, the metal bindings around the coffin just fall apart. What's left of them, and the two halves of the coffin, the stone coffin inside, just kind of fall apart more than anything else. They just kind of fall slack, and inside you see a humanoid, fairly unassuming looking one, hairless, human size, just kind of sat there in a kind of a fetal position, just kind of curled up, his head against the far side of the wall, just kind of curled away from you, Astrophel. He's kind of moving a little bit. You hear him kind of, on the other side, you can hear him kind of tapping away. Actually, you can see his hand. He's kind of all the way like that, and he's just kind of, you can see his hand kind of with his long nail just against the far side of the coffin.
Is he wearing anything?
Just like a general tatter of a funereal robe.
Okay. So does he react in any way to the opening of the sarcophagus, or does he acknowledge at least that we...
Unless he speaks entirely in tap language and he's currently thanking you for your help? No.
Then I will just softly call out to him and say, "Hello, Mr. Tepper?
You hear him start kind of whispering in a kind of a strange Gothic intonation, kind of this low Gothic sort of language that you think is the same sort of, if not exactly the same language as what the Aralim used, then a similar era perhaps. And he's just kind of whispering away at it. And he turns around and looks at you with two baleful yellow eyes. His features are stark and kind of quite strong, although emaciated from centuries of being locked up here. And he just turns around.
Unrest.
And he's just got two big old gopher-like Nosferatu teeth in the front, and he just looks straight at you, Astrophel, and hisses. And he's just saying something. He's whispering away at something in low Gothic, and he starts kind of unfurling. As soon as he's locked eyes with you, Astrophel, he starts unfurling like the alien in Aliens. He's just kind of slowly pulling himself out to his full height. I mean, he's thin. He's emaciatedly thin, but he can still stand. And as he stands, he's actually kind of, his features are kind of taller than the coffin would suggest. He's obviously been kind of cramped in. It's like his bones have been kind of malformed and stretched somehow. And he's just pulling himself up to his full height. What do you do?
Do I understand what he's whispering?
You can try and spout lore.
Yeah, then I will.
It's clearly threatening.
Okay, spout lore was...
I thought the pointed teeth should be the canines, not the incisives.
10.
You got a 10, okay.
Yes.
You get
I'm
a
not
good
leveling
sense.
up much.
No, yeah, fairly good rolls tonight. You get a good sense of what he's saying. Like I say, clearly threatening. He's talking in like a low Gothic, which is it was kind of the tongue of the day as opposed to specifically the Aralim language. He's trying to communicate with you, and you get the sense that it's a warning that he's trying to do. He's trying to sort of ward you away. He's saying, he's like trying to say stuff like "stay back," escape from here for your own good, etc., etc. And he's kind of brought himself up to his full height.
That's fair. Do I burn him now, or do I wait a bit?
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
But just get ready to burn him in just 6 days.
Of course. I just trickle a bit of fire with my fingers and play with the flame. Like you play with a piece of with a coin, and I play with the flame I trickled.
Okay. So you're playing with the flame, you're trickling. He's got both of his long, bony hands, and he's just put them on both of your shoulders, Astrophel. Just lightly facing you down with both hands on your shoulders, still muttering around. His yellow feral eyes locked entirely on you, just muttering away in this weird, low Gothic, vaguely warning, stroke threatening language. What do you do?
Do I understand enough of his language to communicate with him?
You could try.
I can, because then I would try to be speak frankly with him.
Okay. Go ahead and defy danger with charisma. Actually, no, defy danger with intellect, just to kind of get a sense of how well you can do that.
6, 7, 9, 10 again.
Cool. So you've got enough of a sense to do that, yes. So you can speak frankly with him.
And I just want to know, what are you really feeling right now?
Okay. What are you really feeling right now? What question that doesn't get asked very often out of the list. Cool. So he's intoning to you. You only get a general, at best you understand every fifth word of what he's saying, but you get this sense of something along the lines of please leave, turned against my will, not safe for your kind here, I can't help myself, etc., etc.
So probably
and at that, he's now grabbed both of your hands. He's now lifted you up, bodily, effortlessly into the air, Astrophel. Parites, what do you do?
Well, I ask Astrophel, are you sure you want to go on speaking with the guy?
Yes, because I think I remember something about vampires. And that is, if one gives them their blood freely, then that is like a parlay thing. So if you offer them their blood, it's like kind of hospitality thing. And I hope I remember this correctly.
Yeah, because he looks like he's very, very thirsty, this one.
Yeah, but maybe if I just give it a little bit of...
Be sure you agree together with the amount of blood he's going to drink.
Well,
he's not drinking all your blood.
If he starts to drink too much, maybe just pull me away.
Okay.
But I think
But you don't want me to burn him down to ashes.
No.
Okay.
Okay. So
I just want to. I probably have a dagger on me somewhere. Or
yeah, of course you do.
I'll just cut myself on the arm and offer it to him.
Right. So you're offering assurance right now, already.
I think if the worst thing about the vampire is the thirst, and if we can get him to get rid of the thirst, maybe we can reason with him.
No, I get that. So I'm just clarifying the move here. You're parlaying with him, obviously, and you're using your own blood as leverage. Cool. You've sliced your own hand already, so you've actually given assurance right now of what you'll do.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Take D3 damage and roll plus charisma.
Okay. Damage first. I don't have a D3. Let's just do D6.
Oh, it's D6 and halve it. 1 to 2 is 1.
That's 1 damage.
Yep. There you go. So you're bleeding out your arm and out of your hand, rather. Open palm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And go ahead and roll plus charisma.
That's 6, 7, 9.
9. Fair enough. Well, normally you'd have to give some concrete assurance right now with a 9, but you've already done so. You've already actually cut your hand. So, yeah, fair enough. So what is it that you want him to do? Put you down, keep you safe, control himself for long enough so that you can give him some of your bloods in a sort of safe and nice manner?
Yes, I want to give him a bit of blood so that he can think straight again.
Okay.
But so not so much that I get harmed. Sorry.
Okay. Here's what happens. When you slice your hand, you can feel him kind of physically tremble. His claws start kind of clutching. He's obviously trying to restrain himself as best as possible, given this is the first time he's seen blood in the last X 100 years. Okay? He is trying to restrain himself, and you hear him sort of say as much. He says something like, restrain me, or something like that in his language, in his Gothic language. And he's just he's sort of starting to shake and hold you back and stuff like that. But he's saying something along the lines of sort of yes, 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 but, kind of yes, but restrain me, that sort of thing. He's trying to put forward as best as possible. That's what he wants you to do, because he can't control himself. So yeah, he'll do what you want, but I mean, he is a vampire who's seeing blood for the first time in 300 years. Parites, because Astrophel, you're in no position to restrain him right now. He's restraining you. So Parites, I want you to go ahead and roll. If you want to just kind of bear hug him and pull him off of Astrophel, then you can just go ahead and roll plus con. Otherwise, describe what you do to restrain him and roll as appropriate.
Well, I think that I can restrain him by just, if he wants to bite Astrophel fiercely, savagely,
that's exactly what he's going to do unless you restrain him.
Okay, so then he's got to move, and I will counter his move with my, my mastering of forces, and so I will just prevent him from biting Astrophel just by restraining him with pure force.
All right, go ahead and roll plus whiz.
Okay. That's 8.
8. Yep, you do it. He manages to kind of bash his head across the wall of force. You catch it at just the last minute, giving Astrophel a bit of a shock, but you do catch him and kind of constrain his sense and manage to Astrophel manages to sort of free himself in the process. So he's sort of constrained. He's sort of trying to feel his way. And you can see him, and he's kind of looking at you, regarding you for the first time, Parites. And you can see he's got kind of a predatory look in his eye. He's now kind of down. He's sort of he's kind of down on his haunches, just sitting very still, just watching the two of you, just muttering in low Gothic again. Something along the lines of, strange magic, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Astrophel, you're free to. Yes, Bastien?
No, because I just don't understand the vampire, so I won't talk to him.
Okay.
I thought I could say something that he wouldn't understand, and I don't understand what he's saying. So
yeah, for the sake of speed and for everything else, I mean, he doesn't. You don't know English very well. He doesn't know English at all. You don't know his kind of low Gothic speak at all. So he's just speaking gobbledygook as far as you're concerned, Parites. So yeah, you're there, Astrophel. You're giving yourself a little. You're draining a bit more of your blood for him to drink.
Yeah, I think I probably have a cup on me somewhere that I can drain the blood in, and then just give it to him and feed it to him while he's restrained by the wall of force.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, you do so. You drain a bit more of, your freely bloodied hand is just bleeding out, and you just squeeze sort of maybe half a cup's full into kind of a little container you've got to hand, and carefully pass it through the wall of force. I guess you work with Parites to kind of pass it through in such a way that he can't snatch your hand or whatever. And he takes it. Once he's got his eyes. As soon as you kind of bring the cup of blood forward, his eyes are just fixed on that above all else. So he's just kind of riveted on the cup. Takes it without snatching anything. He takes it fairly gracefully from you as you pass it to him, and drinks it whole, not spilling a single drop. He's sat there, haunch down, kind of at roughly eye level to you, with him while he's down on his haunches, and just carefully drinks it. Takes his time doing it. Doesn't spill a single drop. And then when he does so, his eyes sort of, the feral look starts to drain out of his eyes a little bit, and he just prefers the cup back to you silently. Astrophel, kind of, he taps it against the wall of force, I guess.
I'll just take it away from him again, and look at him, look in his eyes, and try to figure out if he is well enough to be less restrained.
Sure, go ahead and roll plus whiz. Sounds like you're discerning realities about him.
Okay, wisdom. Oh, thank God I leveled that up. 6, 7, 8.
8. All right. So you get one question.
Okay. Discern realities. Which were the questions?
He's just looking around while you're mulling over your question or mulling over your appraisal of him.
What should I be on the lookout for?
Okay. The clearly vampire creature is a lot more calm, a lot more composed, but he's clearly, even in this emaciated, weakened state, clearly he's still a threat. He can still move quickly. There's this sense of a cat coiled to spring. And although he is professing, that he's kind of agreed to your sense of parley here, and is appreciative of what you've given him already, I suppose. There is a sense that this is still very much a blood-sucking creature, and you still have more blood to give, and he's aware of that. And has the means to take it if you're not quick enough to stop him.
I probably have some kind of handkerchief somewhere with me so I can wrap it around my head so I don't stand next to the vampire with a bleeding hand.
Yeah, no, you're not swearing your hand on the wall of force or anything obvious like that. No, I'm assuming you've wrapped your hand up. It's not a nasty wound. There's only one hit point after all.
Okay, I'll just ask Parites, can you lift the wall a bit so it's still between him and me, but so he's not as restrained as a show of good faith?
Yes, of course.
So that's...
So he sort of stretches himself out to his full height now, still regarding you. Like it's like his whole body just kind of unfurls a bit. Still contained, but...
But tell him that if he moves against you, I burn him down to ashes.
Okay, I convey that message, or at least I try to convey that message to the vampire.
Sure. For the sake of consistently rolling continuous parlays and defy dangers of charisma and all that malarkey, Astrophel, go ahead and make one charisma roll for me, and we'll use that as kind of currency. So roll plus charisma on a 10 hold 10 plus hold 3 on a 7 to 9 hold 2 on a 6 minus hold 1. We'll carry on the conversation as normal. You can spend hold at any point, and that will guarantee that he understands what you're saying. If you don't spend a point at hold, you're pretty sure he's got the message, but you cannot be certain.
Okay, let's see what I get. 5. So I get 1.
Awesome. So there you go. So you can certainly convey the point to him, or you can spend the hold as you see fit. Give me a shout when you're spending the point of hold. Otherwise, I'll assume you're not spending it for anything.
I'm not spending it on conveying the message. I just hope that's kind of obvious from what's going on around here.
So he looks over. He kind of looks once wordlessly over to the big mound of rocks, and then looks back at you. And then he says something along the lines of,
6p.
He says something along the lines of, what will it take to earn my freedom?
Did you notice anything strange in the last Well, you probably didn't know what time it is in there. Recently, did you notice any changes or anything?
He just grins at you, just like a great big nasty feral thing, empty of mirth, or he's at least trying for it to be mirth, but he's kind of not really working on a face like his, and just shakes his head, looks back at the coffin and shrugs.
Well,
no see, or blind. He just says blind.
Who put you in this coffin? And I think this is the part where I spend. Oh, bless you.
You want to spend the hold on this, okay?
Yeah, because I want to know how he, or probably not. Let me rephrase that. How did you end up in this state, empiric and imprisoned?
Okay. He says something along the lines of, killed it but was turned. My brothers imprisoned me.
Were your brothers also turned?
He looks around, sort of looks around the room at the other coffins, the removed coffins. Sort of looks kind of.
Okay, so.
After me? He's sort of after me?
Okay.
What will it take to earn my freedom?
He wants. I asked Parites. He wants to know what it takes for him to earn his freedom. Any ideas? Or should we just burn him?
Depends what freedom he's speaking of. If he means getting out of the mausoleum and leading a vampire life,
yeah,
I'm not sure. But if his freedom is we definitely get rid of his undead state, then it just takes a lot of fire.
Oh, okay. I asked him if he can live on animals or if he needs humans to feed on.
He says cattle will work, pigs.
Okay, I would grant him his freedom if he swears to not touch another human being. Otherwise, both my rocky colleague and me will find him, and then we will definitely put him down for good.
Oh yeah, because I want vampires sitting him.
Okay. So he you need leverage to do that. In terms of, does he need to see an example of that right now? I guess you're parlaying with him to say, well, you know, if you don't get out, if we hear you're causing trouble in the area, then we're going to come after you and finish the job. Is effectively the threat you're making.
Yeah, and I still have the blade, the blessed, my blessed rapier.
Sure.
And I think if I just touch him with it, it should, if it has been properly blessed, it should at least be very uncomfortable to him, and he should see that this is a credible threat.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be like showing a vampire a cross, wouldn't it, or something like that. I think they'd recognise, maybe not showing the vampire a cross, but showing a werewolf a silver blade, silver bullet. You know, they'd recognise it as a threat without. It's like, so you see him, he doesn't recoil and like full-on vampire, but he does take a very kind of obvious motion backward when you kind of draw the bit of your blades, just so we can see the kind of, it's not like silvered, but it's been kind of blessed, so it's radiating, it's glowing in some kind of cool, fancy Bilbo Baggins with Sting kind of way in his presence. And he notices it, and you know that he notices it. But yeah, go ahead and roll plus charisma for me with the parlay. Again, you've given some assurance about, you know, being able to do what you intend to do.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Cool. So he's just like, deal.
Okay. And if this is not part of the original deal, but if you want to really get into our good graces, there's this little hamlet which has been hit by a little bit of a tragedy. If you could, from time to time, have a look at night there and keep an eye on them, we would pretty much appreciate this, because they're friends of ours and they could use some help. And I think that's what you did before you were falsely imprisoned and turned. So you can work on your redemption or something.
So he sort of nods, like, deal, just repeats himself.
Okay. Then I'll... No, probably not. I will not give him my hand, because that's still bloody.
Yeah, give him a nice bloody hand. That'll work.
So I'll just nod.
Stern business-like nods all round. Good.
And then I ask Parites, so let's lower the wall of force. We've come to an agreement, and there will be no more bloodshed today.
Mm-hmm. He starts looking at you expectantly, Parites.
Yeah, okay. I release him.
Cool. Okay.
I'm not sure
So
you're not making a big mistake, Astrophel.
It's what I do.
Okay.
So the wall of force comes down. He was a bit constrained by it, but now he's kind of stretches his big old bony arms out to their full length, kind of looking up carefully, because although you're kind of within the kind of the lee of the crevasse, there is still some daylight filtering down from above. I'm going by kind of, I don't know, Buffy the Vampire Slayer rules that he can be in daylight as long as he's not in direct sunlight here, so there's enough shadow for him to keep to. So he's kind of cautiously working his way around the shadow. He kind of gets out and he kind of takes a step around and back and out. Then he backs up against the wall, kind of away from the two of you, works his way round the side of it, and then kind of darts down into the crevasse, down that hole. He's looking at you, he looks once, nods, and just darts down there.
Okay.
That's odd.
Well, maybe you just want to get where the sunlight won't find him, or maybe he thinks that there are things down there. Let's go ahead. We'll check.
But let's wait for 5 minutes if we hear anything, and then we know if something's down there or not. We just use him as a canary.
Yeah. Okay.
And then
Okay.
we slowly follow the vampire.
Okay. Just breaking out for that for a sec, touching base. We've gone a bit over time tonight, so just want to touch base and see how long you guys want to carry on for tonight.
Midnight max.
Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't even be that long myself necessarily. I'd probably be wanting to finish around 11.
Yeah, I think it's the same for it's 45 minutes more, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. So, good. Let me take a little break. I'll have a couple of minutes just to have a little think. I'm going to refill my own water bottle, and we'll come back again and pick things up from there. All right?
Okay. 5
Sounds
minutes.
good.
Yeah.
Back in a sec. Hey, Alex. All right. Okay, hey, Bastien. All right, so we left off as the two of you are working your way down these shaped caverns on your way down to the source, this thing's lair, we don't know what. And there's more examples of crude shaping at work here. Nothing so fanciful as what the quartz monolith had, for example, or your homeland had, I suppose, Parites, but still examples nonetheless. Granite floors, but smooth walls, and then granite, jutting ceilings and whatnot. So it's clear that someone's basically kind of just, I don't know how they do it, but let's assume that it's kind of almost like welding. Someone's kind of dragged their hand along here and just kind of cleared a space that way in kind of a crude idea of shaping as they've worked their way, and the curves of it, the way it's kind of the bore of it implies that they've done it going up as opposed to coming down. So you're working your way down this sort of almost upside down cavern here, this upside down corridor as it's working its way downhill. It gets colder the further down you go, colder and wetter, and before long, as you're winding your way through, it makes way to more natural caverns, which have been kind of bored into and through, like an anthill. And you see where the source of the dripping's coming from. There's numerous little pools of water just dripping everywhere. Stalagmites and stalactites abound. On some of the stalagmites, several of them, and more the further down you go, you find more bodies just spitted in the same way that they were on the creature's shoulders earlier, just kind of impaled there, almost discarded, pools of blood underneath them. And on the stalactites, the stalactites above the same stalagmites, not every single one, but on top of some of the stalactites, but not others, in essentially random format. Some of the stalactites are kind of crested, almost with like a teardrop, a fist-sized teardrop above your heads of a glowing crystal. Parites, you recognise these. They're not unlike, they're kind of a shaper's way of illuminating the way, similarly to how kind of rock can be shaped into kind of smoother forms. It can also be treated in such a way as to become kind of self-luminous. It kind of contains a small portion of fiery force inside it with which to kind of light people's way. It's a crude way of making lanterns without making fire, effectively, and that's what someone's done here. So again, these kind of slag-like teardrops are on the end of every, say, sixth stalactite or so, which is just enough to light your way. Some of them you might even be able to reach up and grab, but not all of them. No, it depends on the length of the stalactite, essentially. So anyway, you're working your way down, and this is essentially what you're seeing. No sign of your erstwhile vampire friend along the way. And eventually the cavern kind of opens out into a much wider open space. The dripping and the kind of the water kind of dripping down and running beneath your feet has kind of coalesced in this area into much of an underground lake. And the area is about it's probably about twice the size of the tombs, say. It's a pretty open area, well lit by all these kind of stalactite drops up top above you. The water doesn't seem too deep, but it's quite hard to tell. It's quite placid. And sitting in a kind of rock formation in the middle, all golem-like, the rock formation in the center probably started off as like another stalagmite, another natural creation, and it's been shaped, it's been formed in a very obvious way. It's much smoother, it kind of spirals up and then kind of actually forms a small kind of spiral-like bridge over to the land proper. And that's sort of everything you see at a glance.
Is there any movement?
Nothing as yet. It's all very quiet. Just the occasional drip, just kind of blink, going across the still waters.
I'll ask Pyrites, is this something that your people would do? Does it look familiar to you?
It looks like the work of a shaper, but either is a very unskillful one or a very young one, or is very uncaring about his work, because, I mean, well, the cave is quite beautiful on itself, but usually would have, you know, marked it more with his own signature and his own footprints. There is clearly a shaper at work here, but
do only shapers shape things, or is it something that any?
Oh no, only shapers. Only
Okay.
shapers.
Okay.
I couldn't do that.
Okay. So we should. And if I remember correctly, shapers usually aren't feral and warlike.
Oh, no, shapers are quite peaceful and quiet guys most of the time, but don't destroy their work. They don't like that at all, and they are very picky about the aesthetics of it all.
You hear a cry from the island-like building in the centre. You hear a frail cry, possibly elf or halfling, human maybe, and without warning, a rumbling starts occurring, and then almost in a flash, this icicle-like spike just juts out from the island at an odd angle, and it's hard to see in the sort of dark so close, but from the reflected light of the little glowing gems above, kind of reflected in the water, you get a sense of a small body being spitted on this spike. You get a sense of its like blood as it drips down, and you can see the water kind of dripping and blip, 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 lots of small drips in the water as whatever the unlucky soul was is spiked.
Yeah. And this looks like even if we run in that guy is toast, right? He has been speared on a...
He is an ex-person, yes.
Yeah.
He or she, I should say. Yeah, they're beyond saving.
I look at Pyrites and say, I think that's where we need to go. And just take off towards the island.
Okay. It's not it's not a long walk. You head round the corner, come to this sort of shaped bridge. It's Pyrites sized. It's large enough to carry a rock-sized person, possibly a little bit besides. It's probably just about wide enough for the two of you to walk two abreast.
Okay.
And as you start crossing it, Pyrites, you hear, I mean, it sounds like you sort of understand it, I suppose, based on what you know of the timbre of the rock, the crystalline people's language, Astrophel, but you know, with all the echoing around, you might just take it for a tremor. But Pyrites, you definitely recognise it as speech, albeit garbled, lost somehow, yeah, you hear this sort of plaintive cry, this kind of desperate cry, coming from the island itself.
Okay, I
in the rock language.
Yeah, I call in the rock language to say, hello? I'm Pyrites, and I'm looking for crystalline people like me. Are you out there?
You see a single rock-like figure limping across the bridge. You guys are sort of at the center of the bridge. You see a limping crystal person figure coming towards you. He's smaller than you, Pyrites, and limping as he goes, just sort of slowly coming towards you, saying, "Help me, help!" And he's kind of shuffling closer.
Okay, I rush to him, and I try to determine what's wrong with him.
Okay, sounds like
Why
you're
is he
discerning realities.
limping, and is he sick, or is he wounded?
All excellent questions, and possibly solved with a discern realities roll.
Yeah, okay. Discern realities is plus wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's 12.
Awesome. Okay, so go ahead and ask 3 questions as you're on one side of the bridge coming towards him, and he's slowly heading towards you.
Okay. Okay. Who's really in control here?
Okay. Well, he's slowly limping towards you, and as he does so, he leaves kind of fluctuations of shaped rock in his wake, and he's kind of having to kind of steady himself on the kind of lip of the bridge he's created for himself, and the bridge is sort of fluctuating and then falling back into place. It's almost like waves of rock are coming back and forth, smoothed around his body as he goes. He's in terms of who's really in control here, put it this way, he's not in control of himself. He's not really in control of his own abilities. He's reaching out to you with one. He's kind of helping himself and reaching out to you.
Yeah. Is he kind of charmed? Is it like a puppet?
Is he like a puppet?
Yeah.
Couldn't say. He's limping. Looks plaintive. He looks to be in pain. His single crystal eye is wide. It's a dark crystal red, like the other one is.
Second question would be, what is about to happen?
Okay, fair enough. As he's reaching out towards you with his sort of shaped hand, his one of his shaping hands, the hand itself starts to kind of melt and reform in and of itself, and you know this is not supposed to happen. You know that the shapers stay constant. It's the stuff around them that gets shaped, not their own bodies. But he's almost shaping himself. He's almost consuming himself in his haste to shape you, and he's reaching towards you and he's stretching towards you, and as he sort of sees you and he gets closer, his eye starts glowing a much more brilliant red, and his body starts to elongate. His proportions go stretched out, stretched all out of proportion, almost like a certain vampire you saw earlier. And he starts reaching towards you and moving towards you with more speed, and his plaintive cries to help start to descend into much more feral growls, and he starts running towards you at much more speed. He's still on the other side of the bridge, but he'll be with you in a few strides, and he's sort of shaping as he goes. There's more spikes are kind of jutting out of the bridge, and he's sort of shaking his head from side to side as if he's trying to ward something off, but he's not stopping his charge, and he's charging right at you, shaping hands raised in some kind of attacking motion. What do you do?
Can I ask my third question before I...
If you do, he's going to be right on top of you.
Okay. So what do I do? I think I will have to stop him. So since he's charging at me, I will use his movement to imprison it in a bubble of force. And okay. I will project him in the air and then create a bubble of force around him.
Okay.
And then I will
try and maintain him in a bubble of force.
Yeah.
Okay. While you're doing that, go ahead and roll. Astrofel, what are you doing?
Since this looks like this creature is not quite itself, I will try to use my arcane art and use this. Their mind is shaken clear of one enchantment to maybe free this creature from whatever it's possibly controlling it, while my colleague is doing his force thing.
Okay.
And once again, I'm using my dragon pick.
All right, go for it.
That's... Okay. It's a 7, and the D6 is higher than the D8.
Okay. So, on a 7, it still works, but you draw them onto the tension when your magic reverberates. So you're trying to shake the Shaper's mind clear of an enchantment here, of this force that's driving it onwards. You do so. Is that your role there as well, Parites? That's a 6, 7, 8, right?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Which would be enough to stop it in its tracks, I believe.
That's it, yeah.
Without. No, this is Bender of the Elements, isn't it?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you're concentrating on holding it in place at the moment, and you've got one hold to do whatever you want while you're holding it in place. Okay. So while you're holding it, it starts to sort of slow down and clear, and its body starts to kind of slack within this bubble. The rocky texture starts to kind of slacken and kind of reshape and reform. The crystal, you start to see sort of elements of the crystalline skeleton. I guess you'd be privy to this, Parites. You'd have seen, your own species skeleton before, but Astrophel, I suppose you wouldn't. But there's sort of, a gem-like core within the rock species, and that's what you're starting to see. The flesh, the rock and ore flesh, is starting to slough off of this creature. As it's lost its track, as it's lost its momentum, it's starting to sort of slowly sort of melt and reshape, and you see glimmers of the gemstones beneath the rocky exterior be kind of come into view and then disappear. And it's sort of being held in stasis as it's trying to sort of reform itself. That's it, sort of shaking itself clear. There's this sort of mental battle going on which is keeping it at the moment. Also, from above, you hear this. Actually, no, not from above. From below, you hear this sort of loud single reverberate through the canyon. Several of the little stalagmites drop. Only carefully held on the stalagmites. Those light-holding stalagmites. Several of them drop into the water and kind of shatter. You hear a kind of doof, doof, doof as they land in the water and shatter. Also an area above you kind of crumbles open, and you see a little selection of debris and kind of a murky liquid come out of it. But anyway, the thing's caught and captured. It's sort of trying to reform itself and is kind of fighting an internal battle, and it's held in force.
I'm talking to it, and I try to. I'm asking it what's happening? Who's controlling it? What's wrong?
It's really struggling to respond to you. It's sort of in the middle of. It's clearly in a lot of pain. It's struggling to keep itself together and maintain a mouth, much less speak through it. But you get a sense of it saying like knowing control, cursed. Tainted, poisoned rocks in this land, poisoned rocks shaped me, I didn't shape it. Stay away, sick.
Okay.
Can't control.
I have some. I have 3 healing potions on me. And I guess that they are quite particular to crystallize, and I'm willing to share one with you to help you heal from your curse and your illness. But you have to calm down concentrate, and then I can free you and try to heal you.
He stops you mid-talk and says, "No guarantees. Healing doesn't work. Have tried. Stay safe. Keep safe. Stay away. Can't control. Can't control."
I turn to Astrophel. What can we do? You know.
Well, my arcane art seems to have had some kind of effect on the creature. Maybe if I try it again, we can free it from this corrupting influence. I mean, it's not going anywhere right now, so I think it would be worth a try.
Sure. I mean, you can just try it and see what happens. If you really want to sort of take the time to study it in a bit more detail, I mean, so long as Parites does nothing, he's going to continue to hold it. So you can study it at your leisure. You might want to spout lore about it first and get an idea about what this is.
Yeah, I will try that. Spout lore is once again intelligence.
Or is there?
Joe, I still have one question
Yes, you do.
for
Absolutely.
my different realities. And I would like to ask you what here is useful or valuable to you.
Okay, cool.
Mainly useful.
Great. Yeah, good question. Good question. Well, I don't know. What here would be useful or valuable to you right now? In this cavern of rock-like fixtures, stalagmites and Oh, I know what's useful to you. So, when there was that weird tremor after Astrophel cast his note, several of those stalagmites fell into the water. They didn't wait to, as soon as they made contact with the water, as soon as they made contact with anything that isn't air, effectively, anything which could break them, which is incredibly fragile, they made kind of a boof when they did. You weren't really looking at them at the time, but it occurs to you as you're thinking and looking around here. I mean, technically you were studying him, but you're studying the area too. And it occurs to you that these glowing things could well, if they essentially they could be used as grenades at a pinch. If you can find a way to grab them out of the, pluck them free and contain them in such a way, you could use them to potentially stun or blind or even do some damage to someone if needs be. Or they could be used to cover your retreat if needs be.
Okay.
So the creature is sort of looking around. It's sort of, it sounds like whatever internal battle that was momentarily calmed by Astrophel's song isn't going to last forever here. It's breaking free, and you can see its expression, Parites. You know, what's left of its body is kind of shaping round itself. Its face is still mostly intact. Its eye is mostly intact, and it's sort of looking piteously at you. Almost just kind of, it's switching between kind of a piteous stare and a pleading stare and a flashes of hatred as it flashes between you and Astrophel.
I'm torn between killing him out of mercy and rushing into the island to see what is the source of the curse. And I think I will use my counter to keep the force bubble in a particular shape. This is the fourth option, because it lasts even after you stop concentrating. So it will hold him in his prison. Maybe he'll be able to move maybe a bit, but
sure,
he'll stay in this bubble prison of force, and I think I will go in the center of the island and try to find what's the origin of the curse.
Okay, fair enough.
Otherwise, I will have to kill him and tear my heart apart.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Astrophel, are you doing anything at the moment before we carry on?
I wanted to spout lore about the creature while it is still encased, and see if there's anything like I've ever heard of a similar curse or something.
Okay. Yeah, in terms of curses and hexes, that might have some grounds there, but yeah, go for it.
That's 9.
9. Okay. Showing signs of vampirism. There's blood everywhere. You're looking around, and you know, there's a lot of blood, and you're underneath a vampire's tomb here. This thing is showing signs of, albeit trying to fight it as best it can, but against kind of what you would take to be the natural order of things. You know, a elemental creature, something which doesn't need meat, flesh to survive. It isn't a carnivore in any sense of the word, and here it is. It's trying to get blood. It's trying to get essence, the essence of other creatures like this. It is vampirism through and through.
I'm trying to remember if there's a way to heal someone from vampirism that doesn't end up killing them.
Okay.
And I think it has something.
Okay. Well, while you're doing that, ruminate on that for a second, and let's jump back to Parites, because you're heading towards the center of the island now. This thing's contained in a bubble. You've left it kind of resting in a bubble of force, where it's sort of still trying to constrain itself and keep itself together. The island in the center is kind of a bowl-like shape. It's a very crude, but clearly a bowl-like shape, and almost like a funnel. And the from above, you can hear a kind of a steady plinking of some kind of dark oozing liquid dripping down from above. And as you approach the funnel, the peak of the island with its sort of bowl-like shape within it, you can see that the bowl of this funnel is almost filled now with the dark fluid that's within. It's kind of a very dark, sticky, murky red. Looks like a mixture of blood and something else worse, blood, mud, and all sorts of nasty stuff, all mixed together and just filtering through, eroding through from somewhere above. It's just kind of, as it happens, just a natural formation. It's just coalesced here in the middle of this island area. You can see that at certain points it's actually spilled over. It's actually, because the whole area is kind of stained a dark red, and you can, it's all sort of trickled through edges around the sides as well, which has been kind of partially recovered as the shaping, randomized shaping, has kind of reshaped over the older parts. But there's definitely kind of trickles and vents going down into the lake below you of this dark, murky, blood-like mixture, and it's just coalesced here over years, decades, centuries, who knows. Looking up, there aren't many stalactites up there, so it's mostly just murky darkness. Not easy to see much up there unless you can cast some kind of light source up there and get a better look at the source of the water dripping. And that's what you see right now.
Okay. Okay, I think I've seen enough. I come back to Astrophel and I tell him that the origin of the curse is a kind of dripping vampire blood oozing in the ground and getting some mineral infection, and that we have to clean all this mess, and now we will go outside and I will destroy this whole cave with my earthquake power, and then we'll leave it at that, and we will take with us my shaper friend in the bubble until we can find a cure for him.
Okay. How do you intend to keep him contained indefinitely? Or do you intend to keep him contained indefinitely?
No, I don't intend to keep him contained indefinitely, but I will definitely Well, I will try to save him, and if I can't, I will kill him.
Okay. So
that would be a last resort action, but
okay.
we have to clean this mess anyway. So if Astrophel has better ideas, I want to hear them because I like when Astrophel's plan comes together.
One thing I do remember is there's a legend that you can cure someone who has been turned into a vampire if you can kill his sire. Now, since this creature seems to have been created by this fluid you've described, if we could just burn away the fluid, maybe that would also take care of the curse. And I think it might be a good idea to get rid of that stuff anyway, so it cannot harm anyone ever again.
Okay, good idea. So let's cross the bridge. We take the bubble shaper with us. We go on the other side of the lake, and then I will create the biggest meteor shower, flame meteor shower I can.
All right.
And try to, lay down flat and burn down the whole island.
And I want to help you with
to collapse the ceiling and collapse the mausoleum into the cave so that the blood will stop dripping down here.
All right.
But first of all, I will burn down the island with my meteor showers.
Okay, so here's the thing. You are going to be doing some major property damage here. This is like your channel move, but it goes way beyond kind of the traditional scope of your channel. You are channeling times 1,000 here. You got the time to do it, essentially. You got as much time to take to build up your fireball, but you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to take time. That's going to happen. First things first, it takes time. Secondly, assuming that you've taken time, more than minutes, maybe less than an hour in terms of kind of physically preparing yourself, you go ahead and you do the channel roll to blast forth this emanation, but the stakes are higher. So it's going to be more of a case of normally on a 10 plus, it would just flow out, use your techniques. When on a 7 to 9, there's going to be, some of the power will break free. So on a 10 plus, you'll do it, but some of the power is still going to break free. Even preparing yourself as best as you can, you still won't be able to. These are powers beyond what you're supposed to be able to contain.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So the stakes are higher there. There's going to be some level of trickle, no matter what happens. There's going to be something that kind of breaks free. And yeah, I mean, absolutely, Astrophel can certainly give you a hand doing that. How are you doing that, Astrophel? Are you arcane arting it up? Are you going to perform for him to help give him a +1 forward on it, or are you going to?
Here's the thing: with arcane art, I can also the next time someone successfully assists the target with 8, they get +2 instead of +1.
Oh right,
and
okay.
It doesn't say that it can't be me, so I would just try to make it so that if I help him, I will first try the arcane art and then the assist thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, that sounds right.
Let's do the arcane art first. That's 7, 8, 9, which means it works, but either I draw unwanted attention or my magic reverberates to other targets, affecting them.
Using the dragon's pick?
Oh, I didn't.
Okay, no worries. No, you've done it now, no worries. And the magic reverberates.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So it happens. So go ahead and make your aid roll.
That's plus bond, right?
Yeah.
So that's +1. 6.
Oh dear. Okay, mark experience. Your powerful enchantments reverberate into the creature instead. They basically resonate with the wrong crystal creature, so they resonate with the shaper instead. And the Shaper starts kind of his kind of plasticine-like rock form. It's starting to look more almost like lava, you know. It's like kind of pyroclastic flow, and it starts kind of spiking out. It starts kind of spiking and striking at the force field containing it. And although nothing seems to be happening because it's an invisible force field, you hear this sound akin to kind of glass tilting and shattering, kind of chink, 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 kind of being chinked away as these spikes, this kind of curly hedgehog ball of destruction, starts kind of breaking free of its prison. You can try and spend some time maintaining it if you want, Parites, but it'll give you -1 as you kind of break your concentration, or you can just let him try and break free and let Astrophel deal with him.
Okay, my mind is, and my spirit is totally bent to destroying that fucking island, and so I just won't give a shit about the Shaper getting free.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, guess I roll the dice?
Absolutely. Go for your channel roll.
Let's go. Oh, that's a 12!
12!
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Nice one. Alright, so you barely hear this kind of shattering sound behind you as the creature starts to break free, the Shaper starts to break free of its prison. But in the meantime, you've construed this giant, raging fireball. You've pulled half of the area where you're on a Shaper, but you've almost drawn in elements for Shaper yourself with all the loose debris and everything that you've brought in, and it's just this elemental storm of fire and force contained inside this sort of ball of power. That you're ready to just launch at the island and just basically blast it out off of the face of the earth, so to speak. So you're pulling this thing through, and it's even pulling parts of your own person, part of your own soul with it. So go ahead and deal 1d4 damage to yourself, as it's sort of you're investing so much of yourself into it.
3 damages.
3 damage taken, so that much is sort of being pulled out from yourself. But you've got it. You've got this ball of raw force that you just you almost have to like physically pick it up like a boulder and just throw it at the island by the time it's done. It's not like a Hadoken projected forward forced key, your monk malarkey. It is like a literal ball of stuff, that flaming lava-like ball of stuff that just needs to be physically thrown at the target. And you do so, and it just blasts over the island, kind of setting it. It's so like white hot, it starts setting bits of light as it goes. You know, it burns away fragments of flesh and bone and things which shouldn't even be set alight, and it starts kind of crushing the rock below it and everything. Is there anything specific you want to add in terms of what it's doing there? Because I know you can add stuff by virtue of your technique if you want to.
Well, the light meteorites is a projectile, hazard, and forceful. So I guess that.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of covered in. Yeah.
That's all covered, and so the hazard tag means that the whole area is destroyed, and I guess that the forceful tag means that the whole area is torn to pieces and bits are projected everywhere.
Absolutely.
And so I think that the liquid in the kind of bowl is just vaporized in the operation.
Yeah, basically the entire island is just kind of crushed. It's like knocking over a skittle with a big old bowling ball almost. The whole thing is just crushed aside, and this great big plume of steam comes up as it hits the liquid in the top of the island shore, but also as it kind of hits with the water as well. This great gouts of steam come up as it just, and it just fills the entire room with thick, steamy, just steam everywhere, and a wave of the water just sort of rushes towards you from the lake as the rock kind of lands down, and all the debris kind of is blasted clear. Oh, excuse me again. It's kind of blasted clear, and this great big kind of rush comes towards you, and by the time it gets to you, it's just kind of you get a few drops of water on each of you, but it breaks basically by the time it gets to you.
Yeah, and I guess I'm so hot that when the water touches me, it evaporates instantly.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's just like heat and steam everywhere, basically. You're like in an underground sauna now, and it's very difficult to see. You can still get a kind of a fuzzy light from the few crystals still there above you, but broadly speaking, it's just full of kind of a dim, steam-filled room.
Yeah, and anyway, Varieties is so exhausted, he falls on all fours, and he just like, well, breathes harder than usual. Well, he does not really breathe, but his body moves as he's like trying to, keep his shape together and trying to compose himself.
Your chest, where where the other one tried to almost pull you apart, your chest is almost sort of hanging open. It's like there's like a rock dislodged, and it's just kind of, and it's almost kind of just moving a little bit where it shouldn't move. That's kind of how weakened you're feeling right now. And Astrophel, you're the one who hears a kind of a low, rocky growl from somewhere within the steam. You look around and you can see that this kind of spiky hedgehog ball is free and just kind of recoiling around and trying to kind of recomposite itself. It's growling at you. It's very hard to make out in the steam, but it seems to be kind of growling and tensing itself, either to kind of compose itself or attack. You're not sure. What do you do?
I think I will try to heal Parites and play an uplifting tune, because he looks a bit powered out. And if this thing is attacking, I could use a fit rock companion right now.
Okay.
And this time I'm using my dragon pick again.
All right.
So that's 14, and
nice.
The 8 is the higher one with an 8.
Nice. Okay. Okay. Cool. So with a 14, you I was going to say, I mean, you've got you heal him with 1d8 damage, sure. That's probably going to take him back up to full, I'd imagine.
And probably he should roll so that there's no cheating.
Varieties, if you can roll for us.
Yes, of course. D8, that's it?
Yes.
Let's go. That's 1.
Okay. But I would say that, it's still a very powerful chord, and it's not so much the physical damage, if you like, whatever magical damage it restores to you, but it's also kind of it emboldens you, it strengthens you, and it helps you to stand on, just fictionally, it just helps you stand on 2 feet again. It helps you to kind of stand there and power up. And you also now get a sense of this growling ball. It's sort of recoiling around, and it's now starting to, as Astrophel is kind of keeping half an eye on it and half an eye on you and playing away, you can see it's starting to again draw itself up to kind of more of a humanoid form again. Long spindly limbs out of kind of 2 thin rock are being formed. 2 legs, 2 arms, a lanky head.
Okay, so as I stand up, I look at Astrophel and say, doesn't look like it healed him. I have to take care of it now, myself, my way.
It's hard to tell. I'm telling you both outright, because this is all you can see. It's hard to tell. There's steam everywhere. You're barely seeing this growing shape. You can hear its feral grounds. It might be okay. It might just be teething pains.
Okay.
No pun
so I
intended.
speak to the Shaper. Are you well now? Are you freed of this dark and cursed influence? Are you whole again?
Go ahead and roll plus charisma for me.
Yeah. Oh, charisma. It's plus 0. Double 1.
Yeah, it's just growling and guttering, and doesn't seem to take any interest or any attention to what you're saying. It's roughly a few paces ahead of you. You've just about got the sense of where it is now. Varieties. You could take the shot, so to speak.
So now I will go closer and, check with my own eyes. See it for myself before I have to resort to last.
Okay, fair enough. So you take a few strides closer, willed, sense in hand, channeled sense in hand, and as you're getting closer to it, you feel a kind of an intense heat washing off of it. It's not so much heat, in fact, it's like force. It's this kind of raw shaping power having an effect on you as well. It's like it's not doing any damage to you yet, but the closer you get to it, the more you feel like your own rock, your own flesh and bone could be kind of cast off at any moment. And you're there, you're within a pace of it. You can see it fairly clearly now, as clearly as you're going to see it. And you can see it's kind of drawn up to its full height now. It's taller than you. It didn't start taller than you, but now it is. Not as bulky, but taller. And it's drawn itself up to its full height. You can see its one red eye glowing a brilliant red, and it puts both its hands on your shoulders, just claps down on your shoulders. What do you do?
It reminds me a bit too much of the vampire we freed with Astrophel. So I'm very well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to. I think I'm going to project him out of reach from me.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Plus whiz?
So, plus wisdom? Okay. Plus 7.
All right. That should be enough. That's enough to hold one and blast it out the way, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Absolutely. You blast it a little way. Yeah. So you blast it kind of a few paces away from you, and it's sort of it's more of a kind of a wave of force to keep your distance rather than actually physically throwing it anywhere. And you knock it back a few paces, it kind of crumples back down, then it's back up again, it's starting to get on its feet and kind of shaking a bit, and then it falls back down again. And you can hear it, like you said earlier, you don't really breathe, but if your kind did breathe, this one would be breathing heavily.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Guttering, but
yeah,
heavily.
Reshaping itself.
Yeah, and it's no longer growling. And you get a sense that its shape is kind of shrinking as well, slowly, all tiny and slowly. It doesn't really answer. It doesn't really answer. It's just kind of breathing heavily and just kind of. It's almost too tired to answer. It's like exhausted.
Okay, I will take one ration out of my necklace of rock samples and jabs and throw one at his feet and tell him, eat. It will do you good.
Cool. Okay. Yep. Mark off one ration. He sees it kind of tumble at his feet, recognizes it for what it is, takes it, starts consuming it. You can see it starts to, he takes he takes like a first nervous bite, and then another, and then another, and then he's devoured the whole thing as if he hasn't eaten in days. And he looks up at you, and his eye has gone from that kind of nasty, bloody ruby red to a more kind of it's actually fading to more of a purple now.
Uh-huh.
And it's fading away, and he's looking at you, and there seems to be a bit more sentience in his eyes. He's just kind of breathing heavily. He just nods thanks.
Okay. Okay, looks like we've done it again, Astrophel. Your plan was good.
Yes, exactly as I intended.
Okay,
cool.
But now we have to...
Guys? What happens next, guys?
I think that we will get out of the cave with the Shaper and Astrophel, and then the Shaper and I will destroy the whole cave and the whole mausoleum and bury the whole thing underground. Right. Okay. How are you going to go about doing that? How are you going to go about? What are you going to do? Are you channeling force to do that, or? Oh, I think that we're going. The Shaper and I, we are going to join forces to create a giant earthquake and have the cave naturally crumbling down, and so the mausoleum will crumble into the cave all at the same time.
Okay.
Just kind of naturally, but you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a long trek back up to the back up to daylight. Effectively, it's a long old trek. Astrophel, as you leave the steam-filled cavern behind you, just you're the last. As it happens, you're the last to leave. The Shaper goes first. Parites is close by, making sure he's okay. Astrophel, you're the last to come out of the cave and kind of bring yourself free of the steam. And just before you bring yourself free of the steam, you hear a muttering in that low Gothic again. You just hear that sibilant muttering one last time. Just a strange. You almost half miss it because it's whispered. You just hear something. But feel free to try and perceive more of it if you like by spouting lore.
Yeah, I will try to understand what it's saying, and that's 9.
9. Okay, the words are lost to you. You're not quite sure. It's spoken too quickly, too quietly, and it's too complex. But the tone is clear. It's mocking. It's mocking.
Oh.
It's a mocking tone.
And it's probably the same voice that it's the vampire we freed before, probably.
Almost certainly. Almost. Who knows? It could be anyone. It could be any number of creatures who are hundreds of years old and speak Low Gothic. Introduce this adventure, but yeah, it's the vampire. So
from which can I at least hear the direction? Is it from inside the cavern we just came?
No.
Okay.
No idea. With all the steam and everything, and heard almost as an afterthought, it's almost impossible to tell. Other than where you came, other than perhaps where you came from, as opposed to where you're going.
I'll just tell Parites to maybe hurry it up and get this thing leveled quickly for no apparent reason.
Okay. So it takes a while to get back up into daylight. You're going as fast as you can, but it's slow going with the Shaper, who's he's walking wounded here, but he is on his feet and he is walking, and he's looking a lot better already. By the time you get back up to the tomb, where the daylight was, you notice that the 3, I think it was, other tombs have been opened. All the tombs that were there are now open. A couple of them were blasted open originally. I think there was 3 of them, 4 of them total closed, and all of them are now open.
Yeah.
Just empty. You make your way back up into daylight. The Shaper cringes initially, fearing the worst somehow, but no, he's fine. He's fine, absolutely fine in daylight, and like I say, it takes time, but we're going to gloss over it because we're at the end now anyway. Suffice to say that after enough recuperation, as little recuperation as possible, but nonetheless some, the Shaper kind of helps kind of smooth a path, and you kind of direct a landslide of raw force and fire down into the mausoleum and basically kind of earthquake it up and purge it as best you can, Parites, and basically bring the whole hill down on itself. Yeah. So the area just turns into kind of a rocky, it looks like a filled-in, if you went past it would look like kind of a filled-in canyon or an area of kind of unstable land. There's hardly any sign that a mausoleum was ever here by the time you guys are done.
And I will propose my friends that we stay here a few days just to be sure that nothing gets out of it. And if I perceive anything like a bat getting out of it, a strange mist, a dire wolf, or anything, I will just use my meteor shower and burn the whole place down.
Okay.
That sounds good. We should probably send up the signal flare that everything is. I would say, okay, we don't need to involve any of the militia from the hamlet here.
Yeah,
sure.
No, definitely not.
Sure. Okay, so you camp there for a couple of days and rest and recuperate and keep an eye on things. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Whoever's got the best whiz out of the two of you, roll plus whiz one last time. The other one can help.
I've got +2. How much do you have?
I have 0.
Okay.
Okay, so I will do
So Bastien, you roll plus whiz,
Yeah.
and Alex, you help. You
And
aid.
that's a 10.
Doesn't need it anyway.
And okay, so then I won't roll.
No, fair enough. Okay, good. Lovely. You'll watch out for a few days. You are tireless in your watching. You are walking wounded yourself, Parites, but nonetheless you manage to keep a good watch for as long as you can for a couple of days. You hardly sleep, you hardly eat. You're watching, always watching. There's a couple of close calls when you think you see something and it turns out it's a seagull or something like that, or some other creature you've never seen before that you mistake for a bat and you accidentally blast it to oblivion, but better safe than sorry. Broadly speaking, no bats appear, no wolves, no mysterious clouds of mist, nothing of the sort. Just general settling, and not a lot more really.
Okay.
After a couple of days, you're going to fall. You're going to just slip into a coma. You're going to fall asleep if you stay awake any longer.
So when I feel that I'm going to fall asleep, I will use my my channeling power to create a sheet of flame in the caldera, just like if I was using the earthquake technique, but with flames. And so it's like a rampaging sheet of flame through the area, and so all the vegetation will be dead, all the little animals will be dead, and I'll be sure that the area will be entirely clean.
Okay, roll plus con.
Yeah. That's an 8.
That's an 8. Okay.
Yeah. I take the damage.
Yeah, you take the damage. You take 1d8 damage.
1d8? It's 1d4.
You're doing another massive thing on the scale.
Oh yeah, that's another massive. Okay, so that will be 1d8. Fair enough.
You take the damage, you salt the earth, you burn all the small animals, but you are walking wounded after it.
Yeah. Jesus, that's close to...
In fact, the whole escapade leaves you feeling quite weak. You will need several days of recovery time before you can do much.
More than days, probably weeks.
You are falling apart at the seams.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's where you are. And after all that, I suppose you head back to the hamlet and another job well done.
Of course.
Good. All right then, we're a little bit over time, so let's just do our end of session moves and then we'll wrap it up for tonight. So, did we learn something new and important about the world?
Oh yes, of course. A lot of first-hand experience about vampires and black magic.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Did we defeat an important enemy? Yeah, I think we did.
Of course. Yeah.
And loot a memorable treasure? I'd be willing to say the Shaper might be memorable.
Yeah, but depends. Well, I'd like to keep the Shaper by my side, if that's possible. But we may see.
Astrophel, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think the Shaper, I don't know how long he has been like this, but he could probably use some protection because, as far as I know, rock people are not very welcome in this part of... and we can probably make him useful because the hamlet got destroyed and he could use his shaping powers to rebuild the houses there, so he can show, hey, look, I'm a nice person.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Oh. Yeah.
All right, so that's 3 yeses, so that's 3 XP. I think, did you both hit your bonds this session?
Yeah, I think I used my bonds because I followed Astrophel's plan, and well, it was kind of interesting because it really get me exhausted. But I think that we finally get rid of the curse, although we were not very well, armed for that kind of job. And
well, you had a blessed sword at least.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Astrophel? Did
Mine
you
is,
your bond?
well, Parites is an excellent never been king, which I think, yeah, but I think we are now more than colleagues. We've been through quite a lot,
Yeah.
and I would say Parites has my back
Cool.
instead.
Sounds good.
So that means I get an XP and switch out the bond? Or?
That's right. Yeah, you get an XP, cross out the last bond, and write the new one in.
Okay.
And Bastien, you can do the same if you want. You can cross out the old bond and write a new one in its place if you want to. And alignments then. What are everyone's alignments again?
Okay, my alignment is chaotic and use your conduit to cause great disorder or chaos. I think I've done that plenty again.
I mean, you've caused a lot of property. Well, you haven't even caused
damage. Yeah.
You've caused a lot of physical damage, but actually, it was all for a good cause. It was all for a lawful cause. You could argue it's actually you've settled the area. You've cleaned the slate almost, as opposed to leaving the place a strange, chaotic place rife for further destruction. You've actually kind of sealed it off from any more of that.
Yes.
So say that your power.
I've also destroyed a beautiful cave and transformed it into a black pit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the cave wasn't so beautiful to start, and actually you kind of cleansed it. That was what you were trying to do, right? Cleanse it.
I won't argue more than that. Fair enough.
And Alex, Astrophel?
Mine's chaotic, and it's spur others to significant and unplanned decisive action. Well, mostly I spurred myself to unplanned and decisive action. So mostly I think Parites just had to clean up after my misrolls.
Okay. Okay, no worries. Okay then, good stuff. Thanks for playing, guys. That was all very good. Any final parting thoughts? Any words before we finish up for tonight?
That was very enjoyable.
Yeah. That was a great game and really interesting. Well, if I have one regret is that we were only 2 players. Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but we're going to be luck of the draw.
Yeah, that's it. But Dungeon World really works with 3 or more players.
For anyone listening at home, and for you guys as well, I guess my general plan for the next couple of months for these games is to change the formatting a little bit. So November, it'll be I'll be setting up 1 game a week again as before, probably on Wednesdays still. And instead of doing that via the Google event first and the Hangout second, I'll probably do something more along the lines of sending out the group message on Patreon first for all of my patrons. So they'll know about it first and can sign up there as needed. And then I'll simply just make the Hangout, make it public, send it out to all the people in kind of my RPG group, which would be most people in the Dungeon World Tavern and the usual sort of suspects. And then if we've got less than 2, then if anyone else wants to jump in, then they'll have the opportunity sort of on the day, or otherwise we play with who we've got. The only other exception to that would be that I know I didn't get a chance to play with anyone in the US this month, which was a bit of a shame. So although it's quite tricky for me to set up a US game, what I may well do is sort of say, well, we might play 2 games at sort of UK/Europe time in November. So 2 games might be at more or less the same times they've been this month, and 1 or 2 games, depending on takers in the US, might be much later for American audiences. Because I know for people watching at home, there's been a couple of US players interested in joining in as well. So I've got to have a final think about it, and we'll take it from there. December, I probably won't be running any games. If I do, they'll be friendlies. They'll probably be a lot more informal. They won't necessarily be geared around creating an adventure. I'm more or less going to take the month off in December as far as the writing's concerned, just to be working on a few things. I'd like to start collating a lot of this stuff together because there's a lot of stuff there, and I know it's quite tricky to read it en masse. So I'm going to take December off to really try and bring it all together, probably refine a lot of it, and possibly kind of release it as a nice big shiny package of some description. But I'll keep you posted on that nearer the time. But yeah, for November, yeah, keep watching Patreon, and we'll take it from there, I suppose. All right, good stuff. Okay then, guys, thanks for playing, and I'll see you all next time.
Okay, thank you. Bye
Thanks.
bye.
Bye.